The first hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, and Brett Stotts Norsworthy.
Good Monday afternoon on this May the 10th, 2021. And that date is significant because I will refer to this being May of 2021 when I get to some other topics as the show progresses. Dave is out today. He's losing golf balls somewhere, I guarantee you. Drew is in, and we want you to be a part of our show, either by text at 901-360-8255. That's the First Bank text line, and that has always been the First Bank telephone line, 901-360-8255. Be a part of our show. We're with you until 6 o'clock. And the weekend had a little bit of everything, some blasts from the past and the current condition of sport. On Friday night, Drew Barrett, I went to my first Redbirds game since August 16th of 2019. It was great to be back at 3rd and Union. Boy, Durham brought the bats. They hit so many home runs in the 6-game series against the Redbirds. And on Friday night, 2 or 3 of the longest home runs that I've ever seen at AutoZone Park. I mean, 3 tanks that were big distance. I still think the biggest home run I've ever seen was Ruben Sierra. Yeah, he was a really good major league player. He was here once and hit one to right field as a left-handed batter, but one left-hander Friday night and two right-handers. I mean, some launch jobs way, 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 way out of the ballpark and deep into the parking lot at the YMCA that sits in left center field. But it was good to be back at AutoZone Park. I feel for the Redbirds. I feel for everybody still trying to get back reopened 100%, as we seem to be very much lagging in Shelby County with the health officials here. When I see that in Knoxville, Tennessee, baseball is going to have 100% capacity the rest of the year. Vanderbilt is going to do that. We've seen it in Mississippi. We've seen it in Texas. We see it in Florida. We saw it this weekend on the PGA Tour in North Carolina, 10 deep in Charlotte at the golf tournament. Not a mask in sight, outdoors. And with the country now with one vaccine, at least one vaccine, we're at almost 80% of the country having received one vaccine, and we're at about 35% of the ones that require the double vaccination. And while we still are just limping along, barely getting back into business in Shelby County, I do not understand it. And for sport, it especially outdoors. When the governor is saying, when the governor of the state of Tennessee, whether you like him or not, popularly elected with ease, when the governor of the state of Tennessee, that I don't think wants to see mass bodies stacked up at a local morgue by any means. I just don't think he would really be that kind of person when he's saying it should be full at Preds and Grizzlies now, 100% capacity. I don't know why we're still just barely trudging along in Shelby County, but we are. Good afternoon, Drew.
Good afternoon, Brett. It is somewhat of a mystery when you do see other places in the country and in just this state, just on 5.5-hour trip east over in Knoxville, where they are starting to open up. The best thing that I can say is that out of abundance of caution, just trying to make sure that we don't screw this up, trying to make sure that we don't rush back too fast. Now, of course, I'm double vaxxed, and I know you are as well, and I'm done my part. I'm ready to be back and have life be back at the back to some form of normalcy that we had before all of this about a little over a year ago. But the fact of the matter is why 80% of the country, that those numbers don't translate to Shelby County themselves. And I think that they're waiting on the numbers here personally to start to translate the rest of the country, because I still believe we are below 50% in Shelby County.
Very fair. And today, according to the White House and the CDC, within 5 miles from everybody in the country, there's the ability to be vaccinated. At this point, if you are not, that means to me that you either don't want to or you're not trying very hard to be.
That's exactly
what
it means.
And we heard a year ago, that's why I was very emphatic about today being May 10th, 2021. We need to quit acting like it's March 10th, 2020. We are greatly removed from that, and it is time to separate from that. We were hectored and lectured and told all of last year, anybody that wanted to resume normality, that we were almost some type of ogre. We were some type of selfish pig. Now I think the people that are holding things back, that they are being selfish, that too many have gone out and done what we're supposed to do. We stayed in, we quarantined, we wore masks, we distanced, we washed our hands to the hide almost came off. We still are. We're still being protective. Now, if you don't want to, and you haven't, and you wouldn't want to sit at FedEx Forum, or you wouldn't want to sit at AutoZone Park, you don't have to. Don't go. But for the ones that would like to, I think these things need to start being relaxed. Near and far, especially near, because far is doing it. New York City and California more open than Shelby County.
Yeah, they are. And for people out there that haven't gotten the vaccine, whether it's a fear of it, a fear of the possible symptoms, fear of, I don't know what this thing's going to do to me in 10 years, and they are constantly complaining about not being able to go out and do things because we still have these mandates and these restrictions in Shelby County and in surrounding areas, but they won't go get the vaccine. That's the selfish part to me, that the fact that I've done everything I was told to do. I was told that if I got the vaccine, if I quarantined, if I stayed 6 feet apart up until I got the vaccine, waited the 2 weeks, that things would start to be able to go back to normal. And for the people that won't get the vaccine and is delaying it, it's selfish because I did my part. And it's almost like, to me, it's for some of these people that are still complaining about things not being open and haven't gotten the vaccine, it's like complaining about the government and about elected officials when you didn't vote. If you don't vote, you don't get to complain. If you don't get the vaccine, then you don't get to complain.
That's a really good corollary. Friday night, sitting at AutoZone Park, I really felt I felt and feel sorry for the Redbirds because they're operating under the constraints of the local health officials. When outdoors, there would be plenty of places for you to get and enjoy the game, but they can't. They're constrained by that. It was a shell of itself. I was sitting there Friday night thinking about opening day 2000 and how much buzz and all that Friday night wasn't just because of the pandemic, but after a year of being closed like they were and still having to operate under those constraints, just how far it is gotten and not to the good. And I'm hoping by the time they get home for the next round of home games and as the year goes on, that those things can be lessened. But you see the crowds in Texas on Friday night. Was it Friday or Saturday night for the fight? 65,000 people.
Saturday night,
at AT&T Stadium, Jerry's World in Dallas. I mentioned the crowds in Charlotte, 10 deep at the golf tournament, the Wells Fargo, just like it should be, like it was, and like it used to be, and even good crowds at the Walker Cup down at Seminole yesterday for golf, outdoors, but in Florida, and Florida's been able to do this the whole time, but yet here we are and we can't. Here we are tonight with the Grizzlies hosting the biggest game of the year. We've had a lot of big games lately for the Grizzlies. They're 34-33, and they host the New Orleans Pelicans tonight. The Pelicans with the win last night, kind of a shocking win for them. They are very limited. And now tonight, the Grizzlies host as a 9.5-point favorite. And with the win, it would ensure the Grizzlies are in the playoffs. That would make the magic number. It stands at 2 now to eliminate the Pelicans, and that would be a Grizzlies win, a Pelican loss. That equals 2. Pels would be out. Grizzlies would be somewhere in the playoff picture. Where exactly, we don't know. That's still to be sorted out. But a win tonight would be 35 wins. And that was around the target number for the three of us. We were all 34, 35. I think I
went 37.
I think you were you couldn't. Yeah, you were at 37, and I think I was 36 and 36, wasn't I?
Yeah, you were about 500 if I'm not mistaken.
So we're right in the neighborhood of that. The preseason over and under in Vegas, I think, was 31.5.
Already won that.
So the Grizzlies they've been over that, and they have some payback to give to the Pelicans, don't they? The Pelicans have put the Grizzlies through it the last few years, and not just this Kleiman, Jenkins, Ja group, but even before that, a couple of Martin Luther King Day games that the Pelicans have put it on the Grizzlies in the past.
Yeah, they really have. It's always somewhat confusing of how the Pelicans always seem to have the Grizzlies' number, even when on paper and throughout the season, the Grizzlies are obviously the better and more talented team. But when New Orleans comes here, or we go down to the Smoothie Center down in NOLA, it always seems to be a toss-up. And the Pelicans normally come out on top every single time, and it's just quite puzzling. It's always one of those weird games where nothing seems to go right for the Grizzlies, and the Pelicans shoot 60%.
It seems like it's been that way. And we go down to the Smoothie Center, and they smooth put it on the Grizzlies, and you get to FedEx Forum, and they smooth put it on the Grizzlies there as well. Need to be pulling for the Bucks tonight. They go to San Antonio to play the Spurs, 7-point favorite for Milwaukee on the road at San Antonio. San Antonio, like the Grizzlies, have scuffled, really struggled, played poorly all year at home. Late tonight, Jazz and Warriors. You got to think the Jazz will take care of the Warriors there. So still some jockeying to be done. No chance at the 6.
No.
I don't think very much of a chance at the 7. You know, as the 8, you would travel to the 7. Mm-hmm. And if you lost, then you would host the winner of 9 and 10.
Yes, I believe that's how it works. It's somewhat like you trying to understand the NHL playoffs for me, trying to figure out this play and stuff. It does get a little weird, but main thing, Grizzlies just have to take care of business because it's, like you said, it's not 100% sealed up. I mean, obviously, San Antonio has kind of been struggling here of late, and they've got one of the toughest remaining schedules of the last 5. I know they play Milwaukee tonight. They've got a game against Brooklyn. They've got two against the Suns, I believe a game against the Knicks in there to round out the 5, so you like your chances to remain in the play-in. But the sad thing is, and especially how we were talking about this team a month, maybe even less than a month ago, that we're still kind of in this situation where we might end up on the outside looking in.
Last night, late, the Lakers over the Suns. The Lakers are probably going to be the 7, still in contention for the 6. And if things just really fell apart, I guess they could get to the 5 with Dallas. I doubt it. I think Dallas will be set at 5, but we will know for sure. Next Monday, we will know for sure everything will be resolved this season. One that we will never forget. One that will be talked about, discussed, analyzed. And one thing I think the NBA can carry a lot of pride with, a lot of success with, and it took some luck. I'm pretty sure the last time an NBA game was postponed had to be moved around. I think the last time they missed one was February 28th, when it looked like some teams might play 66 games, some may play 71 games, some would get to the finish line and play 72, and we would have to sort out playoffs with winning percentages. Barring the unthinkable, at some point late Sunday afternoon, all teams will get in with 72 games played.
Yeah, they will. It is incredible, and not just for the NBA, but I think for the NHL, for Major League Baseball this year thus far, that they've been able to trudge on. They've been able to get hit with the COVID infections in teams and keep them from spreading to other opponents that they might be playing in the upcoming days. And I think that David Silver and the entire NBA can really hang their hat on that they not only tried their best, but they ultimately did the best job.
Yeah, with Adam Silver.
Or Adam Silver, sorry.
Yeah, I think so. And baseball, they've had a couple of games so far, but nothing en masse, nothing close to last summer, particularly with the Cardinals and with the Marlins last year. Baseball so far off to a good start as the national numbers start to look better, and you mentioned the local aspect of it. but the national numbers look a lot better for everything concerning the virus, and the prophets of doom that would have had us doing nothing, they ended up being very, very, very wrong. Last night I was watching the Sunday night baseball game, and the time or two that they throw it to Buster Olney kind of for the down on the field, but he's not on the field because he's still hunkered down too, I don't even listen to him.
I don't know if that's more of a Buster. I didn't watch Sunday Night Baseball last night.
Let's remember his prediction last year.
That is true.
Let's remember 95% it wouldn't get started and 100% it wouldn't be completed.
That is true. He was one of the far doomsday types of people when it came to that. And as far as him not being on the sideline, I'm sure that's probably still somewhat of an ESPN
company policy
until everything comes back to normal. But throughout all of this, I mean, it's been very hard to try to keep a level-headed and be somewhat in the middle and not be too far of it's doomsday and not be too far of this is just like a common cold. Nobody's dying of this. I mean, you've heard people out there that have gone that far, and then
that was over April 1st last year.
Say the same thing as far as the doomsday. So it's been kind of hard to be level-headed to make sure you read everything, get the proper sources and whatnot when coming out and talking and ultimately giving your opinion on it. But I like the way that the transition that we are making nationally and locally. I think that locally it's going to ultimately open up. I'd like to think that within the next month you could possibly, as long as numbers of cases stay down and we do get vaccines in shoulders on the rise, then who knows? In the next month we could be back to 100% somewhere.
And I think you'll remember, but even before this point last year, I said I was very concerned that the extra cautious, the very careful, that we were in a battle of batting 1,000. Mm-hmm. Remember when I would say that?
Yeah.
That I was scared to death that you're not ever gonna do that.
No.
If that is the goal, then we will stay in some modicum of prevention, protection, fear, something like that. In the national number of 580,000 deaths, that's never going down.
No,
it's never. There's no vaccine anywhere. There's no precaution anywhere that's all of a sudden going to magically go down to 220,000. That number is fixed. It will only go up from there. But to keep existing in this batting 1,000 mentality, there's no way that can sustain itself, and there's no way that is best for the rest of the country. Because remember, that was to keep the hospitals from being overrun. That was to keep them from collapsing. That was the first means of distancing and mask, and now some are using distancing and mask to never have anybody sick ever again.
And that's just not possible. It's not possible with any vaccine. I mean, nothing is 100% guaranteed in life. I mean, if you don't know that by now, I don't know what rock or what cave you've been living in.
And if
but
you
nothing
think that
is 100%.
Can happen, stay home.
Exactly. I am 100% ready to be back out there. Like I've said, I'm double vaxxed. I did my job, and ultimately, if I don't want to sound very selfish, but if you're not vaccinated by this point, where with all the opportunities to be vaccinated, and I don't really care about your health at this point. I'm sorry. I've been doing this for a year. I've done everything I was told by local officials, national officials, CDC, WHO. I feel like I have followed it mostly to a T. And if you don't care enough about yourself to get vaccinated, then I don't care either. Let's all go back out.
I wore a mask outside at football games.
I did too.
This portion of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis. They're at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-362-8833. Lexus of Memphis offering the golden opportunity May sales event. Great offers on all 2021 models and always special lease options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2021 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and driving great. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and that makes for the luxury driving experience. 901-362-8833, online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
My top story of the day, we've already touched on it a bit. The Grizzlies got back in the win column and back over 500 with their 109-99 win over the Toronto Raptors on Saturday. Jaren Jackson Jr. played well, recorded 20 points in 26 minutes. And, of course, Jonas Valanciunas is once again a beast on the boards with 21 rebounds along with 18 points. They have also dropped down to the 9th seed in the West, only 2 games above the Spurs and 3.5 games above the Pelicans, who they play tonight. Luckily for the Grizzlies, the Spurs have a pretty tough 5-game finish, and the Grizzlies play the Pelicans tonight. But it's still technically not impossible for the Grizzlies to finish outside the 10.
It's not. We will go over all those possibilities about 4:30. We'll look at the schedules remaining for the Grizzlies, for the Spurs, for the Lakers, for the Warriors. We won't go W's and L's, but we will look at it all. My top story, Grizzlies inch ever so closer. Inch, snail's pace, ever so closer to the playoffs. It would be the first playoff appearance since 2017. Haven't won a playoff series since 2015. But in 20 years in Memphis, this will be 11 out of 20. If you kind of count that play-in game from last year, which the league doesn't,
if we're counting this year, we'd count last year, wouldn't we?
We could count it at 12 out of 20 if we wanted to do that. I think most people, on the day the pursuit team, NBA now, the day the pursuit team announced that we got them, the Vancouver Grizzlies are on the way, I think if somebody said, Brett, in 20 years, the Grizzlies are going to go to the playoffs 11 or 12 times out of those times, would you take that?
Oh, 100%.
I think I would have signed up for it.
We all definitely would have signed up for it.
And it's been a lot of fun, and Mike Heisley, he delivered for Memphis, and Memphis delivered for him. And now I can't imagine Memphis without the Grizzlies.
Not top story of the day.
My not top story of the day, Bob Baffert has been suspended by Churchill Downs after Kentucky Derby winner Moderna Spirit failed a post-race drug test. Mr. Spirit tested positive for betamethasone, I believe I've pronounced that right, a steroid used to treat pain and inflammation in horses. And now, the real not top story. We now know the real reason behind Maximum Security's drinking problem, and it has nothing to do with being DQ'd at the 2019 Kentucky Derby. It's because Bob Baffert was pumping him full of steroids, and the only way to quiet the roid rage and the pain and anguish he felt inside was at the bottom of the bottle.
Baffert did it to him.
He did.
Is Baffert the face of horse racing or the hair of horse racing?
I'd say both, because I couldn't name another trainer. I couldn't name a jockey. I can't name an owner of any of these horses, but I know who Bob Baffert is.
Seriously.
And
he's
Nick
the
Bush.
biggest
I remember Nick
figure
Bush.
in the sport, isn't he? I mean, there's no jockey bigger than him.
No.
And the horse, name the last Triple Crown winner.
American Pharoah?
I don't know.
Justified was in there, I think.
Not many can, but
No.
you know who Bob Baffert is.
Of course.
My not top story, same topic, horse racing, the Kentucky Derby, 2019, disaster with the disqualification. 2020, everybody had a disaster in 2020 when they had to run in the fall. And now a third straight black eye for the centerpiece of a sport that, let's be honest, it's a 3-weekend sport.
It is.
It's a 3-weekend a year out of 52 sport. Now, I know we're going to get the 6 to 7 horse racing snobs in our listening audience to let us know how wrong we are about everything. It's a reason why there are only 6 or 7 left in the audience. That's all that's left, and they check in every time we talk about it, and every time it's brought up, and we only bring it up 3 weeks a year, and we haven't brought it up very flatteringly in a long time. With what Baffert, he may be guilty, he probably is, and he may be a lot of things, but he's the face of the sport, and it's had another disaster. Now they're going to possibly send that horse to the Preakness. It won't be going for the second leg of the Triple Crown, I don't think. I think they will have it disqualified from the Derby, but I got bad news for all the wagers out there. If you won, you're not going to have to turn that money in.
No.
And if you lost, you're not going to have any recourse.
No, it's not happening. Nobody whose horse finished in second, I don't think they're getting anything out of this.
When we return, as we do every Monday, we talk golf from the previous weekend and look ahead. We'll talk about the Wells Fargo, and we'll look ahead to the Byron Nelson. We do that with Ted Butler. He's up next on Sports Time.
Get happy with Sports 56 Happy Hour with Johnny Radio. Weekday afternoons from 1 to 3 on Sports 56, 98.5, and 96.1.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? Well, we have you covered at Humdinger's. It's quick and it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. With many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger's, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
Ahoy! Ahoy! Yoo-hoo! Ahoy! 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 Ahoy there! Ahoy! 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 In the name of the great Neptune! Ahoy!
The tides can turn quick on the water. Progressive's boat insurance has you covered with basic plans starting at $100 a year. Quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Annual premium for a basic liability policy not available in all states. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, your personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a plan that perfectly fits your budget and needs. And they're available 24/7 to answer any questions you have. Give Black Tie Moving a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis to get your personal, no-obligation quote from the moving experts at Black Tie Moving.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 115 years. You know, I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats. So easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital, or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut, or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. Stock up heavy on all of your favorite Dinstall's treats. 115 years of making Memphis oh so sweet.
Looking for a great place to deposit your money? Try First Bank. Competitive CD rates, a money market that moves with Wall Street prime and interest-bearing checking account options. Not to mention their friendly bankers who make decisions locally. To find out more, stop by one of First Bank's 3 local branches. 6482 Poplar Avenue, just east of International Paper. 8398 Highway 64 across from Wolf Chase. And 6280 Highway 64 in Oakland. Or visit firstbankonline.com. Member FDIC.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Dave is out, but Drew doing a great job as always producing and co-hosting today. We will be with you until 6 o'clock, and every Monday from the Masters through the Tour Championship, we talk golf with one of the premier teachers of golf in this town. That's Ted Butler, a familiar voice on this radio station dating back to 1992. And Ted Butler, I know Dave would love to be here and be talking about the winner from yesterday, because none of us, I think, counted him out. We thought he would be back, but there were some times that even Rory McIlroy was down on himself, talking about Bryson DeChambeau a little bit in his head, trying to keep up with him. And Rory McIlroy, as all the great ones do, they find a way to, pardon the pun, from the horse racing, they go to the riding crop and they get it done. Rory McIlroy back in the victor's circle. Good afternoon, Ted Butler.
Good afternoon, guys. I agree. Yeah, I agree with you. I may be jumping back on the McIlroy parade now, because the way he putted this weekend was so much better than he's done at all in the last 2 or 3 years. Because he made a lot of putts, a lot of par saves, and even the putts that didn't go in were close. So if he gets a little bit of confidence going and the flat stick starts working like that, he's back on my list.
Ted, we've said a lot during the pandemic. We were not epidemiologists. We are not doctors. I am not a psychiatrist either, but I'm going to play one on the radio with Rory McIlroy and the golf thing. Between trying to keep up with Bryson DeChambeau and that whole Masters thing being the last leg of the for him to win all four majors, I think after the Masters, it feels to me like he's got the weight of the world off his shoulders, that trying to complete the Grand Slam there really weighs on him. Do you buy any of that?
Yes, I do. I think it's a huge load, because to get in that select group, the guys that won the Grand Slam is for him and Jordan and anybody else who's in positions like that. It's a place in history, that only, 5 guys are there, or 5 or 6 guys are there, and it's got to weigh on you. And when you start out not playing very well at Augusta, and you just slip, it's got to bother you. And then with the rest of the year coming up, and I'm not sure. I don't know exactly what he started to do trying to keep up with Bryson. I don't know whether he did something with his swing or he tried working out more, but I mean, what's wrong with as far as he hits it now? I mean, how many times did he hit it 350 yesterday, or 370, or 340?
Effortlessly.
I don't know why. Right. I mean, his golf swing is so good. He's got that super shoulder turn and the little hip bump that starts a downswing before he gets the club back, and his lightning fast hip rotation. It's a gift. There's a lot of people can even physically do what he does, and he looks like he's not even trying with it. So I'm the mental part. This may help, and with the PGA coming up, I hope he's back, because the top of the leaderboard yesterday was, I hate to say it because I'm a golfer, was boring. No enthusiasm, no fist pumping, no smiling. It's not even like playing golf now; it's working golf, and they're just kind of, it's just so dull looking,
Yeah, it does.
Well, Keith Mitchell will do that.
Yeah, right. Keith Mitchell and Gary Woodland, they're kind of passive. You're out there making millions of dollars, and of course, my beginning is back in the days of Arnie and Chi-Chi and Trevino, and guys that were having a good time and let you know it. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, Ted, it does seem like that they're more interested in the business side when they are playing the game for a living. I know you gotta make sure you play well and make sure the bills get paid, but you can at least act like you do enjoy it. Talking about how much this weekend helped Rory's mental stability, how much does it hurt a guy like Phil Mickelson, who started off the week great? I mean, had a 64 in round 1 and then just completely fell off the map. He's already pretty far up there in age. What does this do to him mentally?
Well, mentally, probably nothing. Phil, nobody knows what he thinks, what's going on in his mind, but clearly he's struggling. It's hard for him to play 72 holes, for sure. He can play probably 36 good holes and every once in a while shoot a gem like on that 64 on Thursday, but, a lot of miles out there, and he plays all the time. He plays seemingly every week somewhere. So how do you get your enthusiasm up? How do you get pumped up, so to speak? Nicklaus played a select tournaments, Tiger played select tournaments. They didn't play every week, so you get time to regenerate. I don't think he does that.
Yeah, Phil, definitely a grinder, and had the great first round, then 3 really, really poor rounds to finish way back. But fun when he blasts in like on a Thursday, but everybody knows there's still a lot of golf to be played on Thursday afternoon. We're talking a lot of golf, and we do every Monday with Ted Butler. And Ted, we talked about Rory. He's back. Before that, Jordan Spieth, he's back. So the next one to see if he's back or not has to be Brooks Koepka, but with the other two, we knew it was more mental. With Brooks Koepka, we know it's more physical.
Absolutely. I'm not sure what the progress is on his knee. He didn't play this week, did he?
No, he hadn't played since the Masters.
Right. I don't know what the prognosis is on how long he's going to be out, and it's just the guys now that are working out so hard all the time in the gym seem to be the ones that are getting hurt. Some of the strenuous workout things they do is incredible. I mean, you don't. I know DeChambeau is making everybody want to hit it 8 miles, but he's not winning a lot of tournaments. He's a little bit fun to watch, though, as hard as he swings at it. But the injuries now, I think that they're as much from working out, or probably more so than golf. I mean, how far do you need to hit the ball?
Exactly. I don't think that they're all of a sudden just going to completely renovate the sport of golf, and where you do have to average about a 450 yard drive off the tee to make par. It's gonna the distance is gonna stay the same, right? There's no need to try to bomb it on the green every single time. And speaking of DeChambeau, he kind of had a weird weekend. Thought he missed the cut, flew back to Texas, had to get back on a private plane, and actually finished the weekend out pretty well.
Old timers would have been in a station wagon, Ted. They wouldn't have been on it. They wouldn't have been on net jets, would they?
No. Be driving down 40 going somewhere. But it's such a hard golf course, though. I really, there weren't that many people way under par. Even par was a pretty good score, and it's a really difficult course. I say 450 and 470 par fours, but if you're driving like they do, and that includes Keith Mitchell and Hovland and even Victor Hovland on one hole hit one 370. So there's got to be somewhere. I haven't played the course before. There's probably a speed slot on some of those holes where if you hit it just in the right spot, it kicks forward. There's a hole like that at Miramichi. Number 2 is a par 5, and if you hit it down the right side, it hits the slope and it kicks it 40 or 50 yards forward. So there's got to be some of that because Hovland can't hit it at 370.
No, he's a really good tee to green player, and he's had 2 great finishes last week. T4, yesterday T3. Very decorated amateur player, and good player. But it looks like his game, like a lot of them, like Keith Mitchell, and even like U.S. Open, a former U.S. Open winner Gary Woodland, a little trouble around the green.
There were some interesting chip shots. The lies are so tight, and the greens are so hard, and the pins are so close to the edges that it every time it seemed like they would chip and land it on the green, it would go 10 or 15 feet by. Unless they were going into the green, then it would check up 10 feet short. So for the best in the world to be having that kind of trouble, it had to be difficult conditions. I mean, they know.
Ted, I know in most people's weekend crew, when you pull out the old Texas wedge, you're going to catch a lot of grief. Yesterday, you could hear some of the announcers going, "Why aren't you putting that?" Especially downhill. Ken Venturi used to always say, keep it low. Whatever we take out, whatever club you can keep it low with around the green. What do you tell? What do you tell weekend players? What would you tell those guys yesterday on pulling out the putter, the old Texas wedge? Ted, I was subject to pulling the Texas wedge out from the 150-yard marker in.
Well, I think that anytime you can putt the ball, you should putt it. I mean, anytime the surface is smooth enough in front of you that you can use a putter, that you should. And if it's risky and bumpy, then maybe the hybrid or a fairway wood where you choke it up and hit it with a putting stroke, like Oosthuizen didn't do a couple of weeks ago. I think it was 16. And
in New Orleans.
It jumps up over those bumps and then it rolls a little smoother. But for the people, an amateur golfer trying to spin the ball off those tight lies and make it hit, check, and trickle is not going to happen. They don't. It takes such a perfectly precise strike to hit that shot, and they don't have time to do it. And most of us, the amateurs around here that play golf, don't play on a course as pristine as that one yesterday.
No,
they don't get those kind of lies.
No, we don't. And as my good buddy AJ always likes to remind me, a bad putt is a good chip for 99 out of 100 times. So that's
AJ's
always
right.
That's always my thinking. Why do you think that it is? Is it a pride thing? Is it one of those things where it looks a lot cooler to hit that perfect chip? Is it a pride thing?
It's macho.
Absolutely, it's cool. I mean, back when I could play golf, I'd play with my son, and I'd hit a shot like that, and he goes, "How come you do that?" I said, "Because I can."
That's right.
and it's a cool shot, to see the ball hit, take a bounce and check. That's not going to happen at Galloway or Audubon, places like that.
And Ted, the same reply. Somebody who asked me, why did you putt that? Because I can't chip.
Because I don't have that shot.
And it takes a lot.
It's safer.
Ted, can you take a really, really, really bad chipper and make him a good one? If they came in for lessons with you tomorrow and said, I don't want to do anything but work on the around the green chipping game, can you have them fixed by the end of this summer?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There's a technique for chipping that they call it, Venturi called it break and hold. It's hinge and hold, where you hinge your wrist on the backswing and you keep your left wrist flat through impact. In fact, I did one this morning. A guy came in. He goes, "I'm watching him hit balls." I said, "Man, you swing like an 80 shooter." He goes, "I can't break 90." And then we went outside and he chipped a little bit, and I saw why. I mean, he could barely hit the ball in the air with a chip shot, and we spent a good bit of time on it. But there's a technique that anybody that's willing to practice, and that's the word, practice, a short game, that it's so hard to get people to do because it's not fun. It's not like ripping a driver. But every amateur I teach that could score better just with a better short game. And the technique is very simple. You hinge your wrist on the way back and you backhand it with your left hand. It's what Tiger does, what Phil does, and most of those guys out there have some degree of that. But the chipping problems that I deal with are scooping, almost always scooping, no hip action, no pivot on the way through, trying to lift the ball up in the air and then hitting it fat or sculling it over the green. They just, no matter how much they practice that, they won't get better.
This week, the tour makes the first stop in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. This week, before the PGA Championship, the AT&T Byron Nelson, and then the week after the PGA, the second spot at Colonial Country Club in Fort Worth for the Charles Schwab Challenge that all of us in the sports world and in the golf world couldn't wait for last year, as it really was the return back to sport last year when they had that tournament. But this week, the Byron Nelson before the PGA, and we've talked for years about kind of the decline of the field around the Byron Nelson, and being before the second major of the year doesn't help, Ted.
No, that's not going to help this year. I don't know the respect for Byron, Mr. Nelson, as I probably should call him. A lot of the guys don't even know much about him. He won 11 golf tournaments in a row one time. I mean, and won 17 tournaments in a year. I mean, that's just mind-boggling. And he was such a gentleman of golf. I mean, just out of that, people came to Arnie's tournament because they loved Arnie. And pretty good golf course, but I don't know. It's waning. I hate to see it, but and the week before any major is getting tough now because the guys are making so much money, and there's so much money to be made if you win a major. Like Matsuyama, he hadn't come back. He may never come back.
Yeah, you got to get locked in this week, and I'm still undecided how I feel about the PGA in May. We had it, and then last year was what it was, and then it got kicked back to August. Yeah, I'm still undecided if whether I like it or not. I know I like Kiel, and we'll talk about that next week, and we'll talk about the winner, the AT&T Byron Nelson, as well next week. Ted Butler, have a great week and help people out with their game. Thank you for joining us.
Glad to do it. Talk to you later.
Thanks, Ted.
You got it. Thank you. Ted Butler with us every Monday on golf. You need to get out there on that chipping lesson, Drew.
Oh, I definitely do. I do have a decent short game, but anything that would help, I'll definitely take any bit of advice. But I do know one thing. I am sitting here in the Family Leisure Studio where family and fun, it comes together. Don't miss out again this summer. Pools are going fast. Spa's in stock now and ready for delivery. New 2021 patio furniture is in stock, and you can get up to 20% off select sections. Swing into spring with a brand new play gym. Professional installation is available. That is at Family Leisure, 2120 Witten Road, just north of I-40.
Precious Metals next, 901-360-8255. That's our First Bank text number, and that's our First Bank telephone number. Call us up, text us up at 901-360-8255 with your medals from the weekend. That's next on Sports Time.
Same great shows.
We welcome you back to Sports 56 Middays.
What's up? It's Sports 56 Happy Hour.
A new spot on the FM dial. Check out Sports 56 on our new FM home at 98.5.
Hi, this is John Conway with Conway Services. Are you considering replacing your heating and air conditioning system this spring? Conway Services and Carrier have teamed up to make now the perfect time with Visa gift cards back from Carrier for up to $1,500 on select Carrier Infinity systems. If you happen to need 2 new systems, that'd be up to $3,000 in Visa cards. Now that'd come in handy. If that's not enough, we'll include an April air cleaner to help remove dust from your home, a 10-year parts warranty, and a free Nest thermostat. Plus, with Conway Services, we have easy payment plans with systems as low as $139 per month. Now you could do that. And with Conway Services, you'll be receiving our award-winning service every time. So call Conway Services, the Mid-South's premier heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric service company. And the first 30 callers with a 10-year-old air conditioning system, we'll come out and inspect it absolutely free.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
Welcome to Triumph Auto Sales, where you'll have a great car buying experience. Triumph Auto Sales is your #1 source of quality pre-owned vehicles ranging from lease returns to new car trades, all at huge savings. Plus, Triumph has a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Find your next car online at triumphautosales.com or stop in today at 4875 Elmore Road. Triumph Auto Sales will help you get the vehicle you want at the price you need and the service you deserve. For a great car and a great experience from a local and family-owned business, visit Triumph Auto Sales.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. You've heard me talk about how we offer the best products, the best warranties, and the best services for years. Now let's talk about pricing. Pricing should never be the only reason you hire a contractor, but in today's world, pricing is always a consideration. So we suggest you get 2 or 3 estimates for your roof replacement from a reputable, licensed, and insured company, and then give us a call. If we can't beat your best price for a comparable roof system by more than $100, we'll give you $100. It's that simple. We are so sure we can offer you the best price, beating all other qualified companies, we will hand you $100 if we can't, and thank you for the opportunity. So give us a call. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? Make $100? Fiveash Roof Services, a proud supporter of Tiger Athletics and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Fiveash Roof Services, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing is what we do. We're here for you.
Cypress View Golf and Recreation in Marion, Arkansas. Cypress View Golf and Recreation is fun for your entire family. Accepting new memberships now. Call about the new intro price, only $199 per month plus tax. Includes unlimited golf, state-of-the-art new workout room, kiddie pool for the kids, Olympic-sized pool for the entire family to enjoy, and a great pub and steak bar. Cypress View Golf and Recreation has a new golf pub with tons of new food items for breakfast and lunch. Choose from Philly steak cheese sandwiches, homemade fresh hand-patted burgers, and Nathan's hot dogs, flatbreads, quesadillas, summer salads, and more. Take advantage of new memberships of unlimited golf, only $199 plus tax. Call Pro Mark today for your new membership at 870-739-6305. Come be a part of a great golf family. Get away from stress at Cypress View, just over the river.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Thank you very much, Drew Barrett. You are with us on Sports Time. We're with you until 6 o'clock, and we want you to be a part of it, either by texting or by calling the First Bank text or telephone number, 901-360-8255. 901-360-8255. Never been more simple to get a hold of us now on any of the shows all day and all night at 901-360-8255. Can't promise somebody's going to answer the telephone during the night, but the text will get read at some point during the night. We will do precious metals, and then at 4 o'clock, David Cobb to start the hour number 2, as he does every Tuesday afternoon at 4:30. In-depth look at the remaining schedule. And it's not much, but it's still very complicated with the Grizzlies and the teams around them. Baseball talk. Dave Bartu back another week after he blew the place up last week from College Football Matrix and Analytics. 5:30, we'll catch up on all the day's news, and at 5:45, we will round it out with Taco Bell Crunch Time. Time for our medals, Drew. My bronze goes to small sample size. I fully recognize that. It had been a pretty good sample size last year. It had been well over half the abbreviated season last year. But for the Cardinals, they sit atop the National League, and that's without Goldschmidt and Arenado really hitting that much. They haven't had a torrid streak yet. You know they both have one or a long-standing one in both of them. And when they start hitting, if the pitching can keep doing what it's doing, we'll see what the Cardinals can do the rest of the year. They probably, at this point, I don't think they will ever lose again, Drew.
You're going to go ahead and do that right today on May 10th, 2021. Never lose a game again.
I'm going to do that. Silver medal goes to Rory McIlroy. Nobody left him for dead with his golf career. Nobody did. But many were questioning him. Heck, he questioned himself. He wins at Quail Hollow, big-time track. Reason why it's hosted majors and will get majors through the years. Rory's back. Jordan's back. Let's see if Brooks Koepka can get back, like we talked with Ted Butler about it. First two were more mental. Brooks Koepka's physical. When he said there was no other golf tournament he would have even tried to played except for the Masters when he tried, and when he left, he looked to be in a lot of pain. My gold medal goes to the crowds from around sport. Unlimited in Atlanta all weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It was rocking the way it should be. No limits, no mask, back to real life. 65,000 at Jerry's World for boxing. Crowds at the Walker Cup, as I mentioned earlier, at Seminole in Florida. 10 deep, no mask, no distancing, no nothing. Real life at Wells Fargo in North Carolina. Let's see here. That's Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, Texas. It's all kind of right here around us, isn't it? Why are we that island? How come our Ministry of Health want to announce right now, they need to announce, come August 5th, 3 months from now, WGC FESJI 2019. Boxes, skyboxes, crowds, media center. Back, if you want to wear a mask, do so. I may in the media center. Heck, I may outside. I don't think I will outside, but I may in the media center. I may in a suite or two. They ought to announce it now. I'm telling you, if they don't let the golf tournament be full tilt, real life, real McCoy, 2019, the way it should be, the golf tournament should be looking for somewhere to go in 2022.
Ooh, that is that'd be a big fallout if that is the case, and that the WGC would leave that quickly after being here. I think you're right. I think by August 5th we should be there. I think today,
New York City and Boston and California, everywhere. Shelby County, only Oregon being more careful than we are in Shelby County. My rust goes to 1 in 5 start for the Redbirds, but more ridiculous is an outside mask mandate at Redbirds games and limit on their crowds. It was dull as dirt Friday night. It was zero magic in the ballpark. I'm sorry, none of that's the Redbirds' fault. It was really sad to see it like that. Again, if you haven't been vaxxed by now, I don't think you are trying very hard or you want to be vaxxed very hard.
No, they just don't want to. And it's that plain and simple. If you haven't done it by now, you're probably not going to. So we might as well open it up.
Grizzlies tonight. Are you going?
No, I will not be in attendance. I have other plans.
I'm sorry. I knew better than that.
Yes.
I'm sorry. And we will talk about that at the close. 2 weeks in a row, we are very, 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 very heavy-hearted here, and will be for some time. I did okay over Mother's Day. I really did. I texted with you about it, and I thought about all the the great Mother's Days that I had. Saturday wasn't very good, but the actual day yesterday it was, and we will talk about the loss of your granddad before we close tonight. And our thoughts are certainly with you, Drew. You will be out tomorrow.
Yes.
Back in Friday, and a lot of love to you and to your family and to your dad over your loss. Two Mondays in a row that we've had that, and we're very sad and respectful for you and yours. And so I know you weren't going to the Grizzlies night, and I'm sorry for asking that.
It's okay. No worries. It happens. I'm
not going either.
I appreciate all the thoughts and prayers, and for anybody out there listening, I definitely do appreciate it. And before the day is over, I would like to say something, but not now, and we're about to talk with David Cobb here in a minute, so I don't want to bring down the mood with still 2 hours left to go.
Yeah, and both of us, and I talked about it last week and never did during the course of it, I mostly do it because people out there that are kind enough to listen to us, you have your own things. You don't need to hear the guys on the radio, and I know guys on the radio complaining or talking about things like that. I think sometimes that's a little overdone with some, kind of cause celeb with some. Both Drew, you and I both are more on the lesser end of that than the higher end of it. While we hurt. From 3 to 6, it's our escape too.
It is. I enjoy doing this. I enjoy having time where I'm not thinking about a loss of a loved one or the big mean world, the bills, the taxes, and everything else. From 3 to 6, I get to just talk about sports, and I love it.
And it's why, because the pandemic's impact on sports, I've had to talk about more than stick to sports guy that I like to, but it has impacted sports, and that's the only reason I have talked about it as much as I have, and I can't wait to the day that I don't have to talk about it at all. When we come back, I can't wait to talk to David Cobb. We'll do that in about 3.5 minutes. He starts hour number 2 next on Sportstime.
Looking for a great place to deposit your money? Try First Bank. Competitive CD rates, a money market that moves with Wall Street prime and interest-bearing checking account options. Not to mention their friendly bankers who make decisions locally. To find out more, stop by one of First Bank's 3 local branches. 6482 Poplar Avenue, just east of International Paper. 8398 Highway 64 across from Wolf Chase. And 6280 Highway 64 in Oakland. Or visit firstbankonline.com. Member FDIC.
Mid-South Hobbies has your favorite model airplanes, boats, race cars, and trains to build. With brands you know like Lionel, LGB, and a large selection of Traxxas radio-controlled trucks, cars, and boats. Mid-South Hobbies has all the accessories to make them complete, with thousands of paint colors to make them shine. Reach the sky with rockets and kites, or reach deep into your imagination with action figures, comic book superheroes, and fantasy quest games. Get passionate about your hobby at Mid-South Hobbies. 4862 Summer Avenue, open 7 days a week. Call 901-682-9402.
Action247.com is your Tennessee sportsbook for same-day pay. Action247.com. Local, legal. A sportsbook by Tennesseans, for Tennesseans. Win a little or win a lot. Action247 has same-day pay. The other guys make you wait for your winnings. No more waiting with Action247 same-day pay. Visit us online at Action247.com. Local, legal. Action247. You got action.
Problem gambling? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, W253DF Memphis, and WIVG Tunica Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Dave will be back tomorrow. I know he's playing in a nice golf event today. Can't wait to get him back tomorrow. Cubs had a nice weekend before the winning streak was stopped on Sunday. They tried to come back in the ninth. The Cubs are playing well. Cardinals are playing well. Maybe those two will battle it out all summer for supremacy in the National League Central. 4 o'clock on Mondays, that's David Cobb time. He joins us now. You can follow him on Twitter at David W. Cobb, college basketball, college football writer for CBS Sports with experience, as his Twitter bio says, in the SEC, NBA, Major League Baseball, and outdoors beat writer. David Cobb, tell me your favorite outdoor story you ever did.
Oh, man, there were some good ones. I actually really grew to like that beat. It was in Chattanooga, and they, obviously have a pretty nice outdoors scene. So
I'm pretty jealous.
Probably one of the cooler things that I think sports fans will appreciate. I did a 20-year look back in 2016 to the 1996 Atlanta Olympics. And people forget, but there was actually an event as part of those Olympics that were staged in Tennessee. In the very southeast, most remote corner of the state is Polk County. And it's home to the Ocoee River, which is where you go to whitewater raft. And so Atlanta talked about making a big rafting push and then building an artificial river to host the rafting events there, but it really wasn't going to be practical. So they decided to do that up in Tennessee, and it was the morning after the bombing. And so everybody was on pins and needles, and I got to talk to a lot of people who were there who remembered it and do a whole 20-year look back story that was on the front page one Sunday. That was probably my favorite story, or one of them, from being an outdoors beat writer.
David, that 96 Olympics, I don't know people really remember just how fanned out, spaced out, spread out, really kind of across the South. There were, I think, what did they play at Legion Field? There were Atlanta 1996 Summer Olympic events that were held at Legion Field, and I know they had soccer at Athens between the hedges because the hedges had to had to be removed, and it was heresy to some Georgia football fans.
That's amazing, and just Legion Field too. All the SEC football history there. So there's two venues with a ton of SEC history hosting Olympic events. That's just so unique. Now this,
golf.
Hey, we could do a
golf almost
now 25 years.
Yeah, we sure could. Golf almost was an Olympic event that year, and I think I'm telling this right. Billy Payne, who was not that avid of a golfer, but certainly an historian and respected the history of it, it's what mostly kind of got him into his first foray into being a member at Augusta National and later chairman of Augusta National, because Jack Stevens, who was chairman at the time from Little Rock, Arkansas, he badly wanted for the Olympics to be to have golf, but the golf and to host it at Augusta National, but August and Augusta National really didn't work out that well. And Louis Grizzard, the famous wit, humorist, he wrote a story about, how do you pronounce that river where you said you did rafting on?
Oh, the Ocoee.
And he cracked the line. His line, not mine, maybe not politically correct now, but he cracked the line. And I think a lot of the scenes from Deliverance were filmed there. And he said if Ned Beatty and Burt Reynolds couldn't make it down that river, some Frenchman in biking shorts sure can't.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. What a cool time. I mean, I wish I'd been old enough to like really appreciate it. But I got to learn about it.
I made the mistake of not going, David. I had a great chance to go and didn't.
Well, Olympics are on my bucket list now. I think we talked about it before, but
let's all go to Los Angeles. Let's book it now.
Yeah,
let's all go to Los Angeles.
Absolutely. I would love to. I just think there's just something so unique and special about it. And definitely the pandemic made me appreciate the Olympics more because I do look forward to them and I do enjoy watching them. And especially the Summer Olympics usually come at a time when baseball is the only sport really going. And I definitely missed it last year. And I'm hopeful that Tokyo starts to embrace the Olympics this summer because if they really embrace it, I mean, it could be a really cool moment for the world. I know we're not out of it altogether yet with the pandemic, but we're coming out of it. And if we choose to celebrate that, I mean, I think the Olympics could be special this year.
One of the things that I definitely do regret, just like Brett is not going to Olympics, I had an opportunity through the University of Memphis journalism program to go down and work at Rio and write stories for a publication, and I was up for something else. I can't even really remember what it was that I thought I was going to get. Ended up not getting that and sat at home all summer when I could have been down in Rio. But, David, while we are having some laughs, I do have something serious and something I'm a little ticked off at you and the rest of the people at the CBS Sports. How come Memphis isn't in the post-spring top 25 in May? I need to know why we're not in.
Hey, I'll be honest. I didn't vote Memphis into the post-spring top 25. I mean, there's just so many unknowns now. I mean, the post-Brady White era. I mean, this entire era of Memphis football has been propped up by really good quarterbacks. Paxton Lynch, Riley Ferguson, Brady White, and now we're going into this unknown where, I mean, Grant Gunnell could very easily take that torch and maybe the program doesn't miss a beat in that way, but I think that's got to be it. There's just that lack of a nationally recognizable face and name with this program. I think it's as simple as that because, Memphis, I think, is still going to be a good team. But everybody seems to think that Cincinnati is just completely head and shoulders above the rest of that league now. And with Memphis having a second-year coach, UCF having a first-year coach, it's kind of Cincinnati's league to lose. And they're going to be a top 10 team in most polls. And, everybody else has got to, I think, kind of play catch-up nationally in terms of the perception around the AAC right now.
Going back to one of your former beats and just the other side of the state, a lot of uproar and a lot of anger from a lot of UT fans. And I know I'm going to butcher his last name because I do it every time. Henry Tuau, or however you pronounce it.
Toto,
that's it. Transferring to Bama. Do you think that the Vols fans had a right to be as upset as they seem to be on Vol Twitter over the weekend?
That's what Vol fans do. They get upset and they get mad, and a vocal minority, I should say. It's just the way it is out there. I mean, I tell people all the time, just think about if Alabama's fan base had endured this much hardship during the social media age, I mean, they would be just as bad. So I don't think Tennessee's worse than any other fan base in that way. But no, there's no reason to be mad at Henry To'o for going to Alabama. I mean, he's going to go try to play one season there and then presumably go to the NFL. And I guess he probably could have done that from Tennessee, but he wasn't getting better at Tennessee. I mean, he was really good as a freshman, but then he kind of stayed stagnant as a sophomore last season. And all he needs is a little bit of an extra step, a little bit of development in defending the pass. And I think he's a first or second day NFL draft pick next year, so he's going to get that at Alabama. I don't know if there was any guarantee he was going to get that at Tennessee. And I mean, heck, I'll say this, if he'd stayed at Tennessee, he probably would have finished with 170 tackles this next season because that Tennessee defense is going to be on the field a ton. I mean, if you look at the way UCF's defense is, the way they put up numbers in terms of individuals with a ton of tackles, yeah, if that's what you're going for, maybe Tennessee's a better option. But if you want to become an all-around and a complete player, you can't blame the guy for going to Alabama. I mean, that's for sure.
David, it is list time of season. It's top 25, top 30. It's ranking times, whether it's teams or quarterbacks or coaches. And one theme of this summer that will be very different than the last few will be with that linebacker transferring in from Tennessee and with what they have returning at Alabama. They could be the blast from the past. It could be a defense first, especially early in the season, bringing Bryce Young along. It could be a Bama playing defense first story early in 2021.
I'm sure Nick Saban wouldn't hate that. I'm sure that he would feel more, more natural in that type of system. You're right, though. And they don't have a ton of time, though. I mean, they open with Miami. I mean, that's a top 25 Miami team, a team that some people think could really, maybe even challenge Clemson. I don't know how realistic that is. But, they play Miami in the first game. So the offense has got to come along pretty quickly. I mean, there's not really a whole lot of build-up time there. There's none. I think if you were an Alabama fan, you might feel a little better if you could flip the first two games and play Mercer first. But then, I mean, you go to Florida in week 3 as well. So it's a tough. Those are two tough games in the first 3 weeks for Alabama. And yeah, I think the defense, as you're saying, should be pretty stout. And Bryce Young's going to be great. It's just a matter of how early can he be great, considering the playmakers that they're losing. I mean, I don't need to rehash what they're losing on the offensive side of the ball, and we know that the talent will be there. It's just how quickly can you get it going, because the schedule is not easy. I mean, it's a pretty brutal typical SEC slate this year when you consider that they got Alabama as their one-off from the East. So. It'd be interesting. I mean, Alabama is still my clear-cut favorite to win the Southeastern Conference, but if you told me they lost to Miami or Florida in one of the first 3 weeks, I wouldn't be totally shocked by that.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would be that shocked, but now that we have finished spring, a lot of the second-year coaches getting their first full spring practice, obviously last year due to COVID-19. After seeing what they've gotten in spring, who do you think has the best chance of improving from year 1 to year 2? Obviously, Lane Kiffin had a very good, successful year 1. I think Sam Pittman, in the eyes of the Arkansas fans, did. Eli Drinkowitz had a good year. Mike Leach kind of dropped off. Who do you think will make the most improvement in their second year in the SEC?
I really think Ole Miss can do it. I really do. I know, obviously, Louisville is not an easy game, but it's the game I think they should win to start out with. And then that Liberty game is going to be so much fun as well, and not an easy game by any stretch with Hugh Freeze coming back to Oxford. But on the whole, I think if they go 3-1 or 4-0 in the non-conference, which they should, they got a chance to go 8-4, 9-3. I don't even think 10-2 is totally out of the question with Ole Miss, because they get Tennessee and Vandy out of the East. I mean, that's just about as easy as it gets. And I know nationally people want to look at Ole Miss and say, well, they lost Elijah Moore. Well, yeah, they lost Elijah Moore, but they bring pretty much everybody else back who carried the football or caught the football for the most part last season. So Matt Corral, in his second season with Lane Kiffin, I think is going to take huge strides, especially after having a full spring. And, the defense really can't be much worse. So with the SEC West being as wide open as it is, I think that Ole Miss has a really good shot to kind of be that number 2 team behind Alabama. And I know Texas A&M fans may take offense to that, but, they're breaking in a new quarterback, and, we'll see. I just don't see them being head and shoulders better than the other 5 teams in the division who are chasing Alabama.
That was a good question by you, Drew, about the 4 second-year coaches that never had their first spring until their second year, and 3 of the 4 are set at quarterback. Basilik at Mizzou, Corral, and Will Rogers, a guy who never met a man he didn't like and is a really good football player at Mississippi State. But the 4th one, Arkansas, they've got a lot of quarterback questions around them with KJ Jefferson. I think really good talent at the receiver and tight end position for him, and capable at running back, and will be better in offensive line. But he's the least of those 4 second-year coaches going through a first spring.
Yeah, but I do think that KJ Jefferson has some appealing potential. Like,
yeah,
he filled in for Felipe Franks last year started a game. I forget who they were playing, but really, really good. Like
started
really
two
flat.
at the end, didn't he?
Yeah, Missouri was one where he played, the whole game for the most part, and was really good. 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. So I think the potential is there. Arkansas, I don't know. I don't know what to make of Arkansas entirely, because last season was so encouraging, just with the level of competitiveness and the fact that they actually won a couple of SEC games.
They look like a ball team finally.
Yeah, for sure. But then you look at the final record, and it's still just 3-7, and somebody's got to be the worst team in the SEC West. And it could very well be Mississippi State. But I mean, look, let's be honest. I mean, it's still probably Arkansas and Mississippi State who are kind of fighting to stay out of the cellar there. And so, I mean, it's just going to be hard for Sam Pittman to continue to make strides there. And he's very easy to like, and I hope that he's successful, because he's just one of those guys that's easy to root for. But I just look at Arkansas in that division, and I still think that they might be a year or two away from him getting them to a point where they can kind of really compete and go 500 or better in the league.
Cobb, on the other side of the SEC in the East, and I know that Kirby Smart has got tons of talent returning. Obviously, great recruiter that he is out at Georgia. But to me, and with the resurgence of Florida, obviously Dan Mullen is going to have that program continue to build. Does it feel like Georgia might have already missed its window?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like Georgia's window is this year. I feel like with JT Daniels in the fold, and this will probably be his last season at Georgia. I mean, he could have turned pro after this past season, and I think been drafted. But I think this is their window because of his presence. I mean, we know that they're going to continue to recruit well at quarterback, and they've got this kid Vandergriff who's on the roster, who's from Georgia, who's a really highly touted player. But it always seems like we're waiting for that next young quarterback at Georgia. Well, you're not doing that this year. You've got a proven veteran on the roster. And, in JT Daniels, who I think can be a first-round pick next season, who I think is probably the best quarterback coming in to this season in the SEC, because of the way he played once he finally got healthy last season. I think he alone kind of raises the ceiling on what this Georgia team can accomplish, and because he makes their offense just so much better. I mean, it was night and day when he came in to the picture last season. No offense, Stetson Bennett, one of those dudes you just love to root for, but I mean JT Daniels is just so much better, and so for that reason, I see this as being the window for Georgia. But the crazy thing is, I mean, I'm already kind of getting excited for this game. They start out against Clemson. I mean, that's as big as it gets. Yeah, and the winner of that game is going to be on the track to the playoff. I genuinely believe that, because I think the East is Georgia's to lose this year, with Florida replacing Kyle Pitts, Kyle Trask, some other really talented playmakers, and that defense already being a little suspect. I mean, who else is going to challenge Georgia in the East? I mean, honestly, Kentucky? No. So it's Georgia's to lose this year, and I think this is their window because of JT Daniels. So, I mean, we'll see. I mean, but most everywhere you look, Georgia's in that top 5, and I think the Georgia fans are going to become restless if Georgia goes through this season and doesn't get back to the playoffs.
Well, they've been mighty restless, and they've been mighty close, whether it was with Aaron Murray under Mark Rick, or it was Jake Fromm with Kirby Smart and winning the Rose Bowl, and when flying home from the Rose Bowl packed with Georgia Bulldog fans on that flight, I was convinced they were going to beat Alabama in that national championship game, and they had them right where they wanted them for most of the night. So there's a lot of frustration, there's a lot of apprehension, there's a lot of aggravation with Georgia fans. They are ready, because as celebrated as he was and is and should be, is I think the greatest offensive player in the history of the SEC. This year will be 41 years since they won it all with Herschel Walker.
Wow. Yeah, that's a long time. And they've been so close for so long that you can't blame them for finally wanting to, break through. And I think they've got a shot at it. I mean, obviously, it's a slog going through the SEC, but if they beat Clemson, I mean, at that point, all bets are off, and you're talking about a Clemson team that's going to be replacing Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, DJU is going to be the new quarterback there, and they lose Travis Etienne, and they got some decent pieces back at receiver. But to me, I think that Georgia is going to have sort of a more self-assured identity going into that game, and more established leaders in the key positions. So
Dabo will be insufferable starting 0-1.
I know.
Oh, he will.
He'll be back to the Roy bus.
Well, and the annoying thing, I think, is that, it's kind of like if Georgia loses, you almost write them out of the playoff because they would more or less have to run the table from that point on. Or, maybe lose one SEC game, make it to Atlanta, win the SEC championship, kind of back their way into the playoff. With Clemson, it's like if they lose that game, I mean, they're probably going to be favored by, double digits in every other game that they play for the rest of the season. And so it feels like Clemson could lose that game and still recover and make the playoff because their schedule's just that easy. But if Georgia loses that game, like I said, maybe they can lose one more and back their way into the playoff, but you almost have to run the table. And so to me, that it's just really not even fair how high the stakes are in that game for Georgia versus how high they are for Clemson. I just think that there's way more riding on that game for Georgia than for Clemson.
David, thank you for your time on this Monday. We'll visit with you next week, and we know there will be a lot going on, and I'm convinced everybody won the transfer portal in college basketball. Every team claiming victory in it. We'll talk about it next Monday, okay?
All right, we'll be talking from Gainesville, Florida next week. So I'm looking forward to it.
Very nice. From the swamp, from the land of Steve Spurrier. Thank you, David.
All right, talk to you guys later.
Thanks, Cobb.
You got it. David Cobb with us every Monday from CBS Sports. I'm going to make a prediction. First college football prediction of the year. You ready?
I'm ready for it.
The first college game day will be at Charlotte for that Clemson-Georgia game, and it will be rocking. If they can have 10 deep at the Wells Fargo maskless, no distancing, come first weekend in September, that would be Saturday morning, September 4, the first live college game day. How rocking will that be?
That'll be awesome. And David's exactly right. I mean, and that's why I asked the question, missing the window, because of how hard it is for Georgia to overcome the big juggernaut that is Alabama. Yes, if there's a conference out there that's going to be able to get two teams in, it's going to be the SEC, but you're going to need a lot of help. You're going to need the Pac-12 to stay down. You're going to need the Big 12 to never be able to produce a second team besides Oklahoma. You're going to need maybe Clemson to lose a few games.
You can't count on all that.
You can't. And the fact of the matter is that a Oregon or a USC, as long as they run through their conference, or UCLA, they run through their conference, a very easy conference, they're guaranteed a spot. Clemson, they just knock everybody left and right silly, and they get the spot. Ohio State seems to knock everybody silly in the Big Ten, and they get the spot. And same with Oklahoma. So it's so much easier for everybody, all the other powerhouses out there in college football, to make that run and basically get the spot guaranteed as long as they take care of business, while Georgia can take care of business 12 games straight, lose to an Alabama. But, hey, 3 other teams took care of business, we got to put them in.
I think every year that Kirby's been at Georgia, except for his first year, and that was the season of 2016. So starting with 17 through last year, I've picked Georgia to win the East with no more than one regular season loss. A couple times in there, had them undefeated, would always get the same text from the same texter. Georgia ain't going undefeated, and he's been right every year.
Yes.
He's been right every time. And I think I've got right now, with very lightly shaded pencil, I think I've got Georgia doing it again undefeated, but it starts with the Clemson Tigers on opening day. I tell you where you can start a great barbecue feast, and that's 2 places. You can do it at the new Collierville Commissary, Houston Levy, and Poplar, or the original in Germantown, Memphis-style barbecue and ribs. Delicious, authentic, screams Memphis-style great food because it's slow. Begin that barbecue feast with the great appetizers like the cheese plate or the tamales or the barbecue nachos that were invented at the original commissary in the early 80s. Smoked chicken wings, just fantastic. Dig into the ribs or the shoulder. Get it chopped or pulled on a sandwich, a big sandwich, or you can get it on the plate. Comes with all the fixings, beans, slaw, deviled eggs, bread as well. You can even order it by the pound or a 6-pack or an 8-pack or a 12-pack, and we give away 6-pack of barbecue quite often on this show from either the Collierville Commissary at Houston Levy or the original in Germantown. The salads, the chicken plate, all terrific. Save room for dessert, best lemon icebox pie anywhere, and the outstanding banana pudding. 754-5540. 754-5540. Online at commissarybarbecue.com. Nice enough tonight to set out on the patio in Collierville, or go to the original in Germantown. 754-5540, or online at commissarybarbecue.com. When we come back, we will go over all the NBA scenarios as it pertains to the Grizzlies, the teams that are kind of in that pecking order in and around the Grizzlies, and the schedules for all those teams. We do that next on Sportstime.
Listen online anywhere, anytime at sports56whbq.com.
There's an institution in East Memphis that I love talking about. It's the Spirit Shop at 4848 Poplar Avenue, right down the street from Clark Tower, and it looks like a log cabin. It's been around Memphis since 1969 with a family-owned, friendly, knowledgeable sales staff that is just a wonderful place to go. I love going in and talking wine or bourbons, and they've got such great selection. So if you've not visited the Spirit Shop in a while, it's been remodeled. You'll love what you see when you need spirits. Tell Eddie Wollo said hello.
Need to sell your home? You're in luck because I buy houses. All you have to do is call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that PIN, 901-406-1101, or just save it in your phone. Bill at I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses buys houses in any area, in any condition, at any time, as simple as that. I Buy Houses is guaranteed to close in 5 days. So if you need your cash fast, just call Bill at I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. Has your house been on the market? Were you just tired of renters? Or is it just time to start over? Well, avoid repairing, cleaning, painting, and prepping your house. Just pick up the phone and call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses. If you're in Southwind, South Memphis, North Mississippi, North Memphis, Collierville, if you can hear this, just call my friend Bill at I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wollo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Dave back with us tomorrow. We look forward to that. We know he's having a good time today. We'll hear all about it tomorrow when he rejoins us. I know he's playing in a Tigers event today. Hope he's having fun with that. A little chilly out there. Might have to have some long sleeves on. But I know he's having fun. I'm glad that he can. I'm glad that Drew is with me and that we are with you today. Stay with us until 6 o'clock. Grizzlies tonight against the Pels. The Grizzlies just owe them so much. I mean, more than a pound of flesh. Take it out on them tonight. Get to that 35th win. Know that they're in the playoffs. I've already heard some saying that if they're not 8 or better, it feels a little disingenuous. No, the league drew up this new system, not the Grizzlies. They're playing by it. If they're 10, they're in the playoffs, right?
Play in. I mean, I'm not sure if the NBA claims it's the playoffs, then
you're one of those too, huh?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it doesn't feel
eight's
weird.
The play in as well.
Yes, but in a traditional year, you would have been in anyway.
You are one of those.
I will succeed.
I'm going to sit Grizz fam on you hashtag.
if the NBA says and NBA reference and all the other credible websites, they claim it as a playoff appearance, then I will too, because that's what
they will. So
so it's the playoffs. I will give them that. But even being at the 9, just how high and the hopes that we had, and talking about, oh my goodness, we're so far ahead of schedule. We need to pick the schedule up. The schedule's gotta go a little bit faster, catch up where we already are to where we are now, where there is still technically a scenario where where the Grizzlies don't make the playoffs. It is a little frustrating and kind of a little lackluster, and kind of have lost a little excitement out of it, because you go from a few weeks ago of saying, man, this team might be able to actually make some noise. Who knows? That not only win in the play-in, but maybe win a game or two in the playoffs. Oh, who knows? I mean, get on the right streak.
Nobody was saying a series. Just making some noise is 4-2.
Yeah.
That's making noise, isn't it?
Yes, getting past the gentleman's sweep is making noise. Actually, having...
Whoop that trick's winning a series, isn't it?
Yes. Whoop that trick is coming out to win the series. But to now, you're thinking just... And especially the teams that you lost to. I mean, losing to Orlando, losing to Detroit.
The Tampa Raptors.
Barely beating Toronto.
Barely beating the Tampa
Raptors. And
they may never play. They may never go back to Canada. Trudeau's never opening.
Apparently not. And it's going to be weird on with the NHL playoffs, where they are actually going to play, how the travel and everything is going to be with that. And all year long, the Canadian teams have just played the Canadian teams to keep from crossing into the United States, and the United States from crossing into Canada. So it's going to be interesting. And you're right. I don't know when the Raptors or Blue Jays, for that matter, will ever set foot on Canadian soil again.
They were the Buffalo Blue Jays last year, started this year as the Dunedin Blue Jays. They're going to go back to being the Buffalo Blue Jays in a few weeks. I really believe if there was a interested market, there's not. Maybe Nashville, maybe Charlotte. Could you name many more prospective baseball markets than those two? Maybe Louisville, no.
No.
Orlando, no.
Nothing's really coming to mind, and definitely not Orlando. I mean, baseball in Florida doesn't work, and
Portland,
Tampa, and Miami have shown that.
If you had a legitimate place, you could lure, especially with Canada talking 6 more months. Well, you got to start making plans.
Yeah, I mean, 6 more months from now, we're talking about the beginning of the NBA season.
Yeah.
I mean, they might just end up playing in Tampa for another year. I don't know how long-term that's going to be, how much we've talked about.
I was thinking the baseball team, you could get them, but you were thinking basketball, but at some point,
somebody's going to have to go back.
We got to make plans, and my Maple Leafs doing really well.
They are doing well up there in Toronto, but depending on Trudeau and what they end up doing, I think won't affect the NFL playoffs, but it wouldn't be, or the NHL playoffs, but it wouldn't be out of the question that he doesn't let the teams cross the border. I mean, we just got to wait and see exactly how that's going to play out. And with the Raptors and Blue Jays, especially with the Raptors, because I know I asked TJ about it when it was first announced, like what was the excitement around Tampa for an NBA team, and nobody really cared. Just like a lot of sports in Florida, nobody really cares about baseball. We know it doesn't work, and I don't know where either one of those teams would really end up. I mean, maybe
how can
Toronto.
You care when you can't go and try to care?
That is true. It's hard to care about something you have never physically seen, and
you know
can't touch it.
I mean, if we thought we were being used by that 1 year with the Oilers, I mean, Tampa, they knew from the beginning that they were just the depot. They were just the landing spot during this, and no chance of getting them. You know, Oklahoma City did such a great job with the New Orleans team after Katrina. It got them that and Clayton Bennett made no bones about it. If he bought the team, he was moving Seattle there, and they did. All right, the Grizzlies tonight against the Pels. They win tonight, they're in. And then tomorrow night against Dallas with a win tonight, you could see some really different lineups. I think it's full rest, relaxation, injury management tomorrow night.
Yeah, because if you win tonight, that pretty much sews it up. You get to the magic number of 2 with the win against Pelicans and the loss of being in. But are the Grizzlies a team that can afford to lose to rest up? Are they a team that can afford to get out of sync?
When are you going to rest if you don't rest tomorrow night?
Do you really need rest though? I mean, these are supposed to be young athletes that are up-and-coming teams and an up-and-coming team. And
well, it's been a grind, and I hear people say that it's lunacy, it's wrong what they've done to them. No, here's what it is. It was to stay in business. Remember was it 2 years ago that the famed, I think it was summer of 19, the famed Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris, that all the news broke in that it was burning. And they rushed in and they saved as much of it they could. And, you know, it was about 60 to 70% damage. Well, they only saved about 30 to 40%, but they saved what they could. That's what the NBA had to do this year. It was burning. It was the famed steeple was about to collapse. So they had to do something almost unnatural to those athletes to make them play like this and have this schedule, but they had to do it to save the larger enterprise. That's why they did it.
Yeah,
it was.
I have
it was
no bones against it.
I don't either. It was not money grubbing. It was survival.
And, you know, obviously, just to get to 72, that's just to really fulfill a lot of TV contracts. You have contracts for games, you got to play those games, and you got to be able to fit them in when you can. The thing that worries me about the Grizzlies, and I think we saw it in the bubble last year, obviously that's an extreme long time. I mean, that would be an extreme example of time off, but if you get the momentum going tonight, you put back-to-back wins, then you kind of want to keep that type of pace going.
All right, then you got 2 against Sacramento. Just want to split those, just familiarity, split those, and then Sunday at Golden State. So let's look at Golden State. Tonight they are playing Utah. Go Jazz. Tomorrow night playing Phoenix. Go Suns. They should lose both of those, shouldn't they?
They should. It should be pretty easy for the opponent team and the in the Utah Jazz and Phoenix Suns, who are clear-cut the 2 best teams in the West. It should be no contest.
Then Friday against New Orleans, it's over for the Pelicans. Gone fishing, tea times, cabana times, vacation times, getting out of any rental agreements in New Orleans. It's been done. They're ready to be done. They'll win that one, so it makes the big game Sunday, probably on national TV, with mostly because of Steph Curry, but also the implications, the stakes that will be at hand. That'll be a Sunday afternoon game. All the games on Sunday are going to be mostly in the same windows, and it won't be too many staggered starts, and it'll make for pretty good drama. San Antonio, you sweating them that much?
No, just because their last 5 games, I mean, it is murder's row. I mean, they've got 2 games against Phoenix. They've got a game against the Bucks. They've got a game against the Nets. They've got a game against the Knicks. There's no way that I think that they really survive. And
agreed.
With going back to your point about rest, you know, I just realize this because I'm still trying to figure out the playing game and everything like that. Once you guarantee the 10 spot, there really is no point of, I guess, kind of going for it, because unless you're the 7, you've got to play 2, correct? You have to, if you're the 8, you got to beat the 7, and then you got to beat the 9 or the 10, and vice versa. So it could ultimately put that need for rest, because I doubt you're catching the Lakers, which is now being reported that LeBron is going to be back by tomorrow.
Yeah, 7's the sweet spot because you host and you win. It's done. You get to sit back and wait for everything else to sort out. I'm not that opposed to the play-in. I've never been really I've never been real dug in on either side of it. Look, everybody played under the same setup this year. Everybody agreed to it early on. The Players Association had to sign off, of course. The NBA implemented it. You didn't hear all this complaining then, and now you're hearing complaining from the ones that are having to be in it, largely from LeBron James, Steve Kerr, and Greg Popovich, the 3 biggest mouths in the league.
And, of course, you heard it from Mark Cuban earlier this year when his team was possibly going to be in that
now he likes
game.
It again,
now he likes it because they're in the 5, and they have no chance of playing in the play-in game. And, I mean, going back to LeBron, what he said last week was just asinine and just completely ridiculous of last year, saying of praising the NBA for the play-in game to create the excitement for fans, not just the top-tier teams, but for league-wide so that fans can stay engaged. Teams will stay engaged. We'll get rid of tanking this way. He applauded the play-in game last year, but this year when he's in it, no, somebody's got to be fired. That's just complete hypocrisy on his part, and it's been a complete hypocrisy on everybody's part. When they're not in it, they love it. When they're in it, worst thing to ever happen to the league.
Yeah, just please, everybody, try to be consistent, and it's really easy to keep up with your story that way.
It is.
Just try to maintain some of that. Again, the best debate out there would be LeBron versus LeBron.
It would.
But because only Dr. Fauci's taking more sides on everything than LeBron has. Every issue, hot button, not sticking to sports, pertaining to the collective bargaining, everything. He's been everywhere on all those. Cuban almost has done the same thing.
He has, but
with Popovich stays true to his core. He does. You may or may not agree with him, but what you see is what you get out of it.
And
it's pretty irascible.
And you're going to get the same Pop night in and night out. Not one night he's not going to be one way, and the next night he's going to be the other. You're going to get exactly what you think Greg Popovich is going to give you is what he's going to give you. And as far as with LeBron, I would like to say his words don't matter, and they don't. They don't
matter.
It's
the biggest voice in sport.
We shouldn't put as much weight into them, but then again,
and I love him as a player.
I do too.
And I agree with him a lot on things he pontificates about.
But a lot of the time, we do actually ask for his opinion on a lot of things. And
he gets that.
It does, and to where if his voice didn't matter, we wouldn't be talking about it right now. So, we've created the monster that is LeBron since the early 2000s when he entered the league, asking him on every topic from a play-in game to world economics and the environment in Sweden, for goodness sakes, probably.
He really does. And there are a lot of nights you wonder from that questioner, why'd you ask him that?
Exactly. Like,
what's it germane to?
Is LeBron going to teach me about Dogecoin and Bitcoin and all that stuff more than somebody else? I mean, it's literally like we're asking. It's Ask LeBron. It's no longer Ask Google. It's Ask LeBron because he knows.
It seems like that. Do you got any Dogecoin on you today?
Oh, of course not. I still don't understand what all the cryptocurrency is.
Do you carry it in your pocket or is it just online on your phone?
It's imaginary. It's invisible.
Oh, it is? Okay.
It is.
Like the Tooth Fairy, huh?
I guess so. But the thing about the Dogecoin and all the other stuff and that I don't understand is the value of it. The value, it's valued what we say it's valued, which I cannot wrap my mind around it.
Well, that's what a quarter is. We say a quarter's worth a quarter.
I know, but I can physically see a quarter. I see a quarter. I know that's a quarter.
You own at AutoZone Park. They don't take cash.
I don't. Just the fact
I don't even know how that's legal.
the fact of the matter with Bitcoin, and maybe I am being naive about it, just don't know enough about it, but the fact that I could never see it, hold it, know really where it is, that just doesn't make sense to me. And it just blows my mind, the people that can wrap their heads around it and see the ultimate potential. I guess I'll get on board when I have to be able to go buy groceries. I'll buy the Dogecoin.
When you were at the University of Memphis on campus, did they have like Tiger Bucks?
Yeah. We had dining dollars is what they call them. They also had dining dollars, Tiger Bucks, and you also had you had a meal plan that you could.
Yeah, and a lot of places have that. That's in effect creating your own currency, isn't it?
It is.
And if, you oblige by it, and a lot of times it's deals or perceived deals with that. I understand places that have gone cashless. At least offer the place like at a ballpark, at a stadium, at AutoZone Park. If you're going to go cashless, at least have the place where you can go and have the machine where you can buy a $25 debit card to use that night at the ballpark or the rest of the year. Instead, if you don't have a debit card or a credit card, and I have a credit card, I do not have a debit card, I couldn't buy a stinking $5 hot dog Friday night, and I had plenty of green cash.
Yeah, that's the thing that does drive me a little crazy. Now, I do use my debit card probably about 85-90% of the time. I like to have cash on me, but then again, it's a lot easier mentally to swipe the card than to hand over the physical cash, so that's what I do
but we got to
a lot of times. But
green money's not acceptable.
That is very weird. If Dave & Buster's and Chuck E. Cheese can get a payable card, then I'm pretty sure AutoZone Park can, and a lot of other places that want to go 100% cashless.
And I know the Cardinals have done that. They're not taking cash, but you can at least buy the debit card to be used at Busch Stadium. You buy it for $50 and you only use $40, they're going to pocket the $10. Okay, fine.
Can you bring it back next time you go and swipe it there?
I would assume you could. I don't know. I hadn't been, and I don't think I'm going to get to go to St. Louis. It'll be 2 years in a row that I haven't been. I don't think I'm going to get to go this year. It's just not working out. When we come back, we will talk a little more baseball, and we will talk the subject that we have not for 1 hour and 46 minutes so far today.
A record.
I would say a record today on any sports talk radio show in the country. We may or may not go there when we return on Sportstime.
Sports 56 mornings with Peter Edmiston and Anthony Zane. Weekday mornings from 7 till 10 on Sports 56, 98.5, and 96.1.
They've raised the bar again at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. I like to say this is the new standard, the way car business should be done. And to prove it, out of 355 dealers in America that sell Genesis cars, the one in Olive Branch, Genesis of Olive Branch, was top 50 in the country, top 10 in the region, and number 2 in the district. And guess what? They want to be number 1. That means there are opportunities out there for you. It's the safest, and every new latest bit of technology that makes the experience of driving a car better, they've got it at Genesis of Olive Branch. If we start with the G70, the highest performing car I've ever owned, all the way to the G80 or the G90, the biggest of the sedans, you'll love everything about the car. If you would like to try the new SUV, the GV80, you call Vinny Gerard at 662-890-6684. He will bring it out to you. The summer of fun is here now at Mario's Pools. Hi, everybody. This is Dave Woloshin from Mario's Pools on Exeter Road. That beautiful pool, well, it just doesn't happen. So call Mario, and his team will be right there to guide you every step of the way if you want to do it yourself, or they'll do it for you. If you need a replacement pool liner, Mario has the best price against all the major competitors, and by the way, the best selection. Call Mario's Pools, easy, 552-3399. That's 552-3399, or just walk in, so easy, in Germantown on Exeter Road. The great thing about Mario is he always takes that extra step. He gets to know you and your pool. He'll do everything he can to make it perfect. Mario's has an A rating with the Better Business Bureau. You can check out the reviews on Facebook. Don't be a slave to your pool. Call Mario Pools today, 552-3399.
Acura of Memphis invites you to experience the all-new, completely redesigned 2022 Acura MDX. It's the most advanced SUV Acura has ever built. Experience the convenience of full connectivity, including built-in Alexa, Wi-Fi hotspot, and wireless charging, from the stunning interior complete with third-row seating. Stop by our state-of-the-art facility and take advantage of our aggressive APR offers today at Ridgeway and 385. Or shop online from the convenience of home now. Visit AcuraofMemphis.com.
It's time, Memphis. Join John Morant, Tyus Jones, and your Memphis Grizzlies tomorrow at 7 p.m. as they take on the Dallas Mavericks, presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Tickets start at just $12, but they won't last long. Check out Grizzlies.com/tickets today.
It's happening again at Family Leisure. Don't miss out again this summer because pools are going fast. Spas in stock now, too, and they're ready for delivery. New 2021 patio furniture, state-of-the-art in stock now, and up to 20% off select sets. Swing into spring with a brand new play gym, professional installation available. The temperature's rising, and so is the service at Family Leisure. Family Leisure, I-40 and Whidden Road, where family and fun come together.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Dave back with us tomorrow, and I thought he was going to come in today if he had been here today, or even tomorrow. The Cubs are hot, playing much better. Cardinals are playing well, a lot to be sorted out in baseball. Like I said earlier, still a very small sample size. Almost at any point in the baseball season, you can say a lot of baseball to play. Heck, you can even say that over Labor Day weekend, as we've seen teams get on that hot stretch in September and be able to secure a playoff berth. But one of the fun stories of baseball is it happened again on Friday night, Drew, and I didn't text you, and I started to, but it would not have been jinxing anybody because, again, we don't have anything to do with it. We didn't jinx the Orioles last week talking about it, and I wouldn't have jinxed the Cincinnati Reds pitcher, Wade Miley, on Friday night, a fourth no-hitter.
It's just been incredible, and I love it. As a former pitcher, I'm all for it. I'm all for pitching duels. I know it's not the sexiest thing in the world, but I absolutely love it.
I do too. My preference is a 2-1, 3-2. We'd really go crazy and have a 5-4 game,
and they go faster.
Well, not really, not anymore. Well, we've had 4 no-hitters already. 7's the most. We'll see if we can get over that. It feels like we should, but that could be the end of it because we know as the season goes on, these batters will adjust. They will adapt. There will be a bigger book. There will be more film. They will note, and vice versa. The pitchers can do the same thing on them, but it's hard to get 27 outs without giving up a single hit, but already been done 4 times, really 5. Madison Bumgarner, I don't know that he would or wouldn't have closed out 2 more innings. Nobody else can tell me any different either. But he was cooking that night.
He was cooking, which is why I'm in the camp of saying 5 because they asked him to go pitch 7. He pitched 7. It might not have been 27 outs. It might have only been 21 outs. But there wasn't 6 more batters he could face. So, therefore, he did what he was asked to do. And that's a no-hitter in my opinion.
I don't know about the on-field celebration part. I'm with you on all that up to the on-field celebration like it was Yogi Berra jumping in Don Larson's arms.
Yeah, I think that should be reserved for, I guess. See, and now I'm kind of contradicting myself here. I don't want to say it's 100% a no-hitter, but you can't celebrate like it is.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Down, boy. No, if you pitch a no-hitter, you should celebrate, shouldn't you?
You should. It's an amazing
well, if we're going to call it a
accomplishment.
no-hitter, then you should have the I don't know about a wild champagne scene for a 7 inning, especially for a warhorse like Madison Bumgarner.
Yeah, because he's had an incredible career, but you still did what you were supposed to do. When a pitcher starts a game, he says, I'm going to get everybody out, whether that's 27 or that's 21, and by golly, he did it. So I'm going to say, you know what, celebrate. Do whatever you want. I don't care.
Do whatever.
I'm not losing any sleep over it.
I'm
right?
about that way on anything. Do whatever you want to do. It doesn't bother me. And don't involve me.
Exactly.
Do whatever you want to do. For the Cardinals, I said this to a friend of mine today. We're talking about the Cardinals, 21-14, 600 baseball through 35 games. I will say, I said earlier today, and I'll say it now. This week will tell a lot. 3 in Milwaukee, then 3 in San Diego. That's 2 high-caliber teams.
Those are 2 high-caliber teams, and especially San Diego, who I think is been somewhat of a disappointment this year. I mean, not off to the greatest start that we all thought they would be off, especially after last season and all the talent that they've gotten in the offseason. So that's going to be a test for the Cardinals as well. And, I mean, to be sitting at the second-best winning percentage behind Boston, which – goodness gracious, that one came out of nowhere. I mean, got swept against my Orioles.
We thought they were in sellers mode. They were in sellers mode.
They were, but somehow they figured out how to win, and they're cruising 3.5 games above the Yankees and the Rays in the American League East.
I think I counted this up earlier today, either 1 game below 500 or better. And the reason why I use the 1 below, if you win, you're at 500. Mm-hmm. I think there are 21 teams 1 game below 500 or better. So everybody kind of jockeying for position with this start in baseball. One story, and I hope we get to catch up with Bob Carpenter either this week or next. Washington almost playing this year through the first 30 games like they did last year when we only had 60 games, but also like 2 years ago when they won it all through 30 games. They really stumbled around through the month of May 2 years ago when they won it, and last year it was just such a short sprint, and they got behind so early they couldn't catch up. The Giants are a real surprise as well with somebody that I didn't think could manage at all, and Gabe Kapler. And when he was in Philadelphia, had trouble with the lineup card and getting his men to bat in order. That's the thing you got to master in Little League.
Yeah.
But he's doing a good job with the Giants. When we come back, we'll have our friend Dave Bartu from College Football Matrix on all things analytics. He blew the radio station up last week with the NFL draft. He promised to do the same today over recruiting, particularly how the AAC gets slighted by the recruiting gurus. That's how we start hour number 3. That's next on Sports Time.
You're scrambling around. You need a haircut. Where you gonna go? I got a place that has 15 locations. I've got a place where details matter. I've got a place that can be invigorating and relaxing at the same time. You know what it is. It's Supercuts. Every haircut ends with the signature hot towel finish. Every haircut matters. When you're getting ready, you go into Supercuts. The stylist will pay attention to every detail. So you get the haircut you want, and, of course, you're going to finish with that signature hot towel. You walk out clean, sharp, and not just ready, but super ready. And you might want to ask that hairstylist about what the tea tree experience is. 1 part invigorating, 1 part relaxing. The tea tree experience is something you need to try. 15 locations. I mentioned that, didn't I? All you've got to do is go to supercuts.com. You'll find the one nearest to you. Get super ready at Supercuts. They've raised the bar again at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. I like to say this is the new standard, the way car business should be done. And to prove it, out of 355 dealers in America that sell Genesis cars, the one in Olive Branch, Genesis of Olive Branch, was top 50 in the country, top 10 in the region, and number 2 in the district. And guess what? They want to be number 1. That means there are opportunities out there for you. It's the safest, and every new latest bit of technology that makes the experience of driving a car better, they've got it at Genesis of Olive Branch. If we start with the G70, the highest performing car I've ever owned, all the way to the G80 or the G90, the biggest of the sedans, you'll love everything about the car. If you would like to try the new SUV, the GV80, you call Vinny Gerard at 662-890-6684. He will bring it out to you. There's an institution in East Memphis that I love talking about. It's the Spirit Shop at 4848 Poplar Avenue, right down the street from Clark Tower, and it looks like a log cabin. It's been around Memphis since 1969 with a family-owned, friendly, knowledgeable sales staff that is just a wonderful place to go. I love going in and talking wine or bourbons, and they've got such great selection. So if you've not visited the Spirit Shop in a while, it's been remodeled. You'll love what you see when you need spirits. Tell Eddie Wollo said hello.
I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurant.
So what comes in a rib box?
We could do pork shoulder, we could do ribs, our sauce, seasoning, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll even throw in Poncho's cheese dip with our nacho boxes. We also put a bag of Rendezvous seasoned popcorn, heating instructions, some chef hats, some wet naps, and some other helpful tips from our kitchen. We ship our ribs overnight, exclusively FedEx. And we put them in nice packaging. We don't ever want to use styrofoam, so we use corrugated cardboard, actually 2 boxes that fit nice together. So the ribs get to you, your loved ones, or your clients in a safe, wholesome manner. Rendezvous ribs are perfect for out-of-town clients, customers, loved ones. We also ship ribs for any occasion.
Where do we order these great ribs?
You can go to www.hogsfly.com or give us a call at 1-888-464-7359.
Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous Restaurant in the alley since 1948.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, W253DF Memphis, and WIVG Tunica Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Final hour on this Monday afternoon. It's brought to you every weekday that we're on by DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road. Visit them online at DeSotoAutoSales.com. Check out all the beautiful cars and look at all the testimonials, all the referrals from all the very, very pleased customers through the years. Very proud to serve DeSoto County, DeSoto Auto Sales they are, and the surrounding area. All the cars test-driven, checked out bumper to bumper, head to toe, unlimited inventory, every make, every model. And if it's not on the lot, they'll go out and find it for you. No shortcuts taken at DeSoto Auto Sales. You're treated like family. You walk in, kind, courteous employees, laid-back atmosphere, no high-pressure sales, but they do care about your time, and they want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience. Within 45 minutes, test drive your car, credit approved, paperwork completed, and you're gone in time to do it over your busy lunch hour or immediately after work. We're living in a world today that time matters. They know that at DeSoto Auto Sales, and that's why they keep it simple. At 5704 Goodman Road, 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales. Last Monday, we visited with Dave Bartu. You can follow him on Twitter at CFB Matrix. He is a consultant to coaches, ADs, football ops, and last week he broke down the NFL draft for us, and he promised to return today to talk about recruiting in the AAC. Dave Bartu joins us now, and Dave, before we get to the recruiting, we're going to do something that we haven't done so far today through 2 hours of this show. I think setting a record in North America today. We have not mentioned Tim Tebow. I wanted to wait till you came on. Tell me the prospects of Tim Tebow back in the NFL.
Dude, I have no idea. That's beyond my scope. Look, when it comes down to NFL, I'm just a quarterback draft guy. That's about it. Look, I think we all know, if he's good enough to play, he's going to play. Okay, that's just the bottom line.
Straight meritocracy.
Yeah, everybody's job's on the line. If he can make the team, if he's one of the best tight ends they have available, boom, good for him. You know, good for him staying in shape and learning the position and so forth. But you know, I think that's really the biggest thing. Now, with Urban Meyer being his buddy, that probably doesn't hurt because there's a lot of buddy stuff out there. Yeah, in terms of news for me, that is absolutely not on my radar at all.
Waited 2 hours to broach the subject, and there are people who have done whole shows on it today. Didn't want to, and so we move on. But coming out of Florida, where did you have him ranked as a quarterback? Did you think the disaster that it ended up being would be that disaster coming out of Florida for him being a NFL quarterback out of the draft?
I don't know if it was a disaster so much, but you got a guy that is coming out of an elite program, and
strike one.
There's strike one. Now he had a lot of experience, but the talent that surrounded him was significant. So,
and back to last week, did he really play Florida
coming off of a national championship?
Did he really overperform Chris Leak? No.
Right. So you're starting to think now. You're starting to think like, okay, where did he come from? You know, you start you start any of them, but does he have the experience? Does he have the non-elite recruiting around him? Did he carry the team? Like you just said, Chris Leak carried the team more than Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow was surrounded by elite talent everywhere. He basically, correct me if I'm wrong, because I didn't watch him. You know, it's not. I'm not a player guy. I'm not interested in that stuff. You know, I can barely name anybody on any team ever. But did he really need to do anything except not fumble?
If my memory receives me right now, obviously when he was playing at Florida, I may have been 10 to 12, so it's a little bit back there in my memory, but it seems that you probably are right, Dave. And since we had you on last week, just like Brett says, I've been kind of using your model, thinking about quarterbacks, and one guy that got picked up by the Titans that is very obviously close to home here, and even more close to home where he played college ball, is Brady White. And I was thinking about where he would fit in your metric of improving and not very elite school. And off of your metric, he seems like a no-brainer that he would work out in Tennessee if they give him a shot.
Or at least it's a good risk, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's really what we're trying to talk about. We're talking about acquisition risk. Now, Brady White may check all the boxes, right? So he checks the boxes, but he's either an undrafted free agent or he's drafted in the 7th round. So we're going to say, hey, the NFL thinks his arm, his height, his weight, everything is good enough for when he was drafted. But the acquisition risk, he does check all the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, this is a guy that, okay, may not make the team, but he is much more likely to succeed in the NFL than guys drafted around him that don't check the boxes. So to me, if you're saying, hey, we're looking for a good risk, round 5, round 6, round 7, a guy like a Brady White that checks all the boxes, that's the guy you want to basically burn that pick on and take a risk versus the other guys, which, I mean, by the time you get to round 5, 6, 7, if you don't check off all the boxes, you're never making it. I mean, it is, I'm trying to think of Tyrod Taylor, maybe the only one. Mark Bulger. I mean, those are only 2 guys I can think of taken after the 5th round, that didn't do all those things and still made it in the NFL decently.
Dave Bartu from College Football Matrix and the analytics side of things. You told Drew you were on the golf course. Man, I would hate to play golf with you, Dave, because I'm sure you would even have you would draw up some analytics for, not an elite player, not an elite swing. That would be tough playing against you. Where are you playing right now?
I'm actually, I was just moving the cart up. I'm out in Forest Hills, the golf club out here in Oregon. Now, here's what's ironic. Have you heard of a high school named Raleigh, Egypt?
Of course.
We have one in Memphis from Raleigh, Egypt.
Exactly. The guy I'm golfing with is Raleigh, Egypt, 78, baby.
Wow.
That, right? So we had to take this call just so I could drop a Raleigh, Egypt, which I will never again do in my life.
Shout out to the Pharaohs. In that stretch, they had a great pitcher that didn't make it with the Mets, and I think his name was Dominic Cheedy, and he was can't-miss left-handed pitcher in those years.
Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, I think John said this high school. I think even changed the name or something like that. But
very good.
Still probably, yeah. So it's
All right,
kind
all right.
of one of those cool coincidences today.
We closed last week with you saying that conferences like the AAC get a little bit of the get a little bit shortchanged in recruiting, the metrics and the analytics of that. Tell our listeners why you think that.
Okay, it's kind of more of a hypothesis. Okay, but one of the things that I look at is I'm always looking at your draft pick ranking versus your recruiting ranking. Okay, so for example, the SEC. The last 4 years, the average team is 21st in draft picks. But the average recruiting that correlates with those 4 years is number 17. So they out-recruit their actual draft numbers. So you say, oh, well, the SEC has a ton of draft picks. No, they're great at recruiting guys. That's what they're really great at. Now, there might be some good player developers in there, but overall, their recruiting, on average, is below their draft pick ranking. Now, it's the same thing in the Big Ten. It's the same thing in the Big 12. Actually, the SEC has the worst ratio in college football over the last 4 years. All right? Pac-12 is about even. I think they're 33rd in class and 33rd in draft picks. But this is where it gets interesting. So if I say most of the Pac or the Power 5 teams are negative, that means somebody has to be positive, right? Somebody has to have draft pick ranking that is better than their recruiting. And that is the AAC. Their draft pick ranking average is better than their recruiting. So, when you look at it from that standpoint, it kind of says, hey, either Memphis and UCF and Houston and Tulane and Tulsa, either these guys are all simultaneously great at developing players, or their players are just simply getting underranked across the board. And I would probably go with they're probably getting underranked across the board because they're non-Power 5, but they're producing players at a better level for their recruiting than any Power 5 conference.
Oh, I 100% agree, Dave. And a very good friend of the show, a colleague of ours, Gabe Kuhn, played 4 years at the University of Memphis, and I've asked him about recruiting when he was in high school and about his stars. I think he was like 1.5, maybe even a 2-star recruit, and he told me that the guy who gave him that ranking never saw him play in person. So do you think that is the main reason? Because a lot of these ranking systems look off of who you get offers from, and at the time he only had an offer from Ball State, so they said 1.5, 2-star, and they never actually evaluate the talent when they're giving a ranking system.
Yeah, personally, throw out the stars. Really, throw out the stars, because so look, over the last 14 years, the average player star ranking in the Power 5 and G5, okay, has gone up for 14 consecutive years. 14 consecutive years, the average player is getting better. I don't buy that. You know what I will buy, though, is I'll buy clips. Now, if you're 247, your scout, does it make it interesting if the player or the classes regress in value? How many times do you hear, oh, that's our maybe not our best class, but that's our best star average? You can say that almost every year because it creates a conversation. So to me, you have to look at where the class is ranked nationally and not look at the average stars, because that keeps going up every year.
What is the most predictive thing for you from the summertime to translate into you making college football predictions come August?
Okay, here's your in terms of winning and losing football games and recruiting. Here is your most consistent conference, the SEC. Okay, throw out home and away. You take the best 4-year recruiter. It doesn't matter where they're at. Best 4-year recruiter over the last decade. The last decade, they have won 70% of the football games.
So it doesn't matter to you how many returning offensive linemen you have or returning members of the defense. It all goes back to recruiting?
Yep, it all, like the SEC, it goes back to recruiting. Now, when you talk about returning players, if you return less than 18 or more than 11, it doesn't matter. You have to have an extreme number returning or an extreme number not returning for it to really have any sort of correlation.
Who did I see out there? Maybe Virginia Tech and Justin Fuente, but somebody returns 22 starters.
Yeah, well, sometimes if you return 22 starters, what happens if they suck or the coach isn't very good? Does it matter?
That's right. You're returning a lot of bad stuff. It's like my golf swing. I can really hone a really bad swing.
Exactly. So, yeah, I don't put a lot of stock in the returning players unless it's really extreme on one side or really extreme on the other.
Well, outside of the recruiting numbers that you just gave, 70%, is there somebody who's done the legwork in recruiting over the last 4 years that have elevated their stock to where they will now fit in that 70%, whereas maybe last year they didn't?
Well, I would say the team that has probably made the biggest move in the SEC in overall. Well, there's really not much of anybody. You know, in the last 15 years, everything's been pretty status quo. You know, A&M has moved ahead of Auburn a little bit. The rest of the SEC West is status quo. You go over to the East, you could say Florida's regressed. They don't recruit like they used to. Tennessee has one of the worst recruiting to draft ratios of the last decade in college football. But they're still a recruiting power. I mean, I'd say Kentucky has made the biggest recruiting move over the last 4 or 5 years, but it's not a move that's impactful.
Dave,
they're still fifth in the division in recruiting, even though the recruiting has improved quite a bit.
We want to catch up with you quite often during the summertime and the lead up to the college football season and to the NFL. We're looking forward to the schedule release on Wednesday. But right now, we want you to go out there and have fun on that golf course. And we thank you for joining us today. And we love the analytics and the matrix side of things. Thank you, Dave.
Thanks for having me on, guys. My pleasure.
Thanks,
you
Dave.
got it. Dave Bartu from CFB Matrix. I told you he was good. And we agree with him. And I've long thought a lot of the recruiting guys way too much of the Nashville, Atlanta suburbs, Tampa, St. Pete suburbs. And just the manpower, there's no way for them to get everywhere. But I think a lot of times they keep it really close to a couple of places.
They really do. And when Gabe told me that, I thought that at least that they got reports, they talked to coaches, they looked at statistics. When he told me that he was given a 2-star ranking based off of who was recruiting him and not off of anybody that's ever seen him play, it was kind of the pull the curtain back from my eyes that while a lot of these guys, a lot of the 24/7 guys, and they do work hard. They do, and it's something you gotta love to do, to run down and evaluate 15-year-olds as early as we start to do it now.
And they made a lot of money,
and they have, but it is physically impossible to see everyone play and to literally evaluate every single player.
See, I think Shelby County is a little shorted on that. I'm not so sure. We have such the prowess, such the reputation around basketball. I think through the years the football has produced just as many, if not more, because you have more playing the sport. But I don't think it gets as celebrated as probably as it should, and especially if you drew in DeSoto County, maybe even West Memphis, kind of our general listening area. I mean, this is a hotbed, but it doesn't have near the cachet of a Nashville or a Birmingham or an Atlanta. And it's probably not as good as those latter two, but I think it would stack up with Nashville better than it's probably perceived.
I think it would as well. And as far as nationally, how it's being viewed and finding information nationally, I don't have to go nationally. I only need to make one phone call, and I can find out about anybody, and that's John Varlas. I mean, we have such a great local guy that I don't need national sources to tell me what's going on around here. All I got to do is call John or check his Twitter account, and he'll tell you who's going to be the next superstar.
Yeah, and if John tells you there's a great strong safety over at Tresvant, you can write it down.
Yes, you can.
Some college coach needs to know that and be after. And I think you've seen the emergence and the real becoming a real power player in college football, especially group of non-power five, group of five with the Tigers, with those local youngsters, a local player that maybe the SEC forgot about. We sure know about with some of the Mississippi players. Case in point, Kenny Gainwell.
Yeah, and even locally, you go to guys that got passed up, that got missed. You go to your Calvin Austins, and your Anthony Millers, and guys like that, and even like you said, down in Mississippi with Kenny Gainwell,
Avery.
Rodriguez
Henderson.
Clark coming out of Starkville. Hopefully, he has the outbreak year that we think he can this year. That'll be just another name to add to the list.
Yeah, and he will be critical, and that will be another one to make the SEC kind of stew in it and go, how did you miss that player? It's that story that's all become one of legend around Rodney Hood. I'm switching sports to basketball, and the reason why the Grizzlies didn't want him because his arms were too short. Well, I think Rodney Hood's arms have been okay.
I think it's worked out decently for Rodney Hood.
Yeah, and you find these things, you can find the idiosyncrasies or maybe the shortcomings when you ought to just say offer him, sign him, draft him.
Exactly. I mean, when it comes to players in your backyard, especially with the SEC, especially the way the transfer portal is now, you might as well just take a risk on him. If he doesn't work out in a year, you can just say, hey, young man, not going to work, call up some other schools, go transfer, instead of looking embarrassed when it goes against you and it does work out for
Love
that young
Dave
man.
Bartu. Love Dave Bartu. We're going to have to get him back quite a bit talking the run-up to college football. They'll really start with this month of May with a lot of lists in the magazines that still go to old school print, and there are some, and I love to pick them up and go through them and have them at the ready to learn about other teams. We will really start with that latter part of this month, and then we will get some TV announcements around Memorial Weekend from around college football, because after Wednesday, after the NFL sets everything, then I know they're not playing on Saturday that often, but the bowls will get set shortly after that with the availability of NFL shared stadiums, and then the full TV will start being rolled out around Memorial Weekend and some other dates during the summer, and we'll know most of the September schedule time as the run up to college football will start, and we'll start big. I know what's big at Jason's Deli. First of all these locations: Ridgeway Road, Poplar and Highland, Olive Branch, and Cordova. Also, always online at jasonsdeli.com. Dine in, to go, or delivery. They like to say wholesome food forever. It's a family thing. The food at Jason Deli, all free from dyes, artificial trans fats, and flavors. Processed MSG, high fructose corn syrup. It's all good, and it's all good for you. The salads, the Mesa chicken salad, the chicken club salad, the nutty mixed up salad, the big chef salad, and my favorite, the taco salad. The meats, the breads, the spreads, the cheeses, also very good. Soup, don't let soup just be a wintertime thing. You can have soup year-round, like the fire-roasted tortilla, the spicy seafood gumbo soup, the Southwest chicken chili. That's beanless. No, the chicken chili, I'm sorry, that has beans. The Texas style is beanless. Also very good. Bowls and cups. The bowls, $5.49. Cups, $3.99. A lot of food for very little cost. Jason Deli, all about choice, regardless if you seek a gluten-free menu, vegetarian sandwiches, healthy kids meals, you will be delighted at Jason's Deli. Plenty of organic food to choose from. The salad bar with over 30 items on it. Catering, it's back anytime, anywhere, and at the locations on Ridgeway Road, Poplar and Highland, Olive Branch, or Cordova. Complimentary ice cream to wrap it up in all those locations. Check them out online as well at jasonsdeli.com. So you're the decider in the NFL office for the opening night, Thursday night game. Do you have the Buccaneers at home playing the Cowboys?
Of course. America's team versus Super.
You can't pass that up.
No,
Tom Brady versus the star.
Regardless, and a up-and-coming guy, a guy that I think can be a superstar in the league, in Dak Prescott coming off an injury.
Yeah.
The start, the big comeback. The storylines, they write themselves at that point. You have to.
TV NFL rule, you have to show Jerry Jones in his box at least 6 times a game?
At least enough to where it's evolved in the drinking game. So I'd say 6.
Do you ever remember one time a TV shot of the current owner of the 49ers?
No, because I don't know who that is.
Of the Lions?
That's still the Fords, but no. You don't see any other owners.
None of the McCaskies. You never see any of the Rooneys. You may see Arthur Blank with the Falcons on the sideline late in the game.
You do see, and why I'm blanking on the name right now, in New England.
Yeah, you see
Robert
Kraft a
Kraft.
lot.
You do get to see
You see
Robert
Kraft a lot.
But other than Jerry Jones, that you just don't see them because it's not important.
I never remember a TV shot showing one of the Maras or even Steve Tisch at a Giants game.
No, because honestly, I couldn't point them out of a crowd right now.
Well, but Shotty, you don't see maybe a sideline shot of him late in the game, maybe.
Maybe. I mean, he likes. I kind of get like a silent partner, but also kind of wants to be a Mark Cuban type of guy with his type of energy that he likes to have. But other than that, no, you don't really see him.
Jerry Wayne likes the camera. That's the point we're trying to make.
Yes,
I mean,
he does.
I think he tells them, "Give me all the gusto." All the smoke for Jerry Jones. I think he likes it, and for sure at a Dallas game. But they'll even find him on the road in the visitors' owner's box. When we come back, we'll have to talk about a lot of subjects, including the biggest game of the year tonight for the Memphis Grizzlies, as they are a 9.5-point favorite over the New Orleans Pelicans. That's next on Sports Time.
Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy get you through lunch daily from 10 to 1.
Well, lunch is served.
Only on Sports 56, 98.5 FM, and 96.1 FM.
I'm Kelly Erb. Sheldon Rosengarten and I are both with Mark Spensdorf Realtors, and our clients often ask us how we are finding the real estate market right now.
Kelly, we've been in a great market environment for quite a while. If someone hadn't sold their home by now with a low inventory and high activity level, there have to be issues that need to be addressed.
Correct. Usually before we go on the market, we advise people on preparation, presentation, and proper pricing. With that and our highly successful strategic marketing program with the Shellbucks option, our clients' odds of selling their home are increased quicker and at a better price.
Yes, that is why we also suggest that people talk to 2 to 3 real estate brokers and make sure and call us. It can mean the difference in whether they sit on the market or sell. That's why people often say, when you want the job done, call Sheldon.
That's right. You can reach Sheldon Rosengarten or me at 682-1868 or memphisrelocate.com. Do it now, 682-1868 or memphisrelocate.com.
Golf is back, and so is Miramichi. And just like every other year, there are improvements. This beautiful golf course sits on 330 acres. It provides more than 7,400 yards of championship-level golf, and the beauty that surrounds it is absolutely amazing. And guess what is back too? It's the Miramichi patio. Totally redone, revamped bathrooms, a full service bar, and on weekends, there'll be bands. Oh, by the way, 2 TVs, and it's now open to the public. You don't even have to play golf to catch the view from the Miramichi patio. But if you do want to play some golf, have we got deals for you? Senior golf for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday down to $30. The standard weekday rates, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, as low as $32. Even on the weekends, it's under $50, and you get golf balls on the range. Play the most beautiful golf course in all of Shelby County. Go check out Miramichi.
Hi, this is John Conway with Conway Services. Are you considering replacing your heating and air conditioning system this spring? Conway Services and Carrier have teamed up to make now the perfect time with Visa gift cards back from Carrier for up to $1,500 on select Carrier Infinity systems. If you happen to need 2 new systems, that'd be up to $3,000 in Visa cards. Now that'd come in handy. If that's not enough, we'll include an April air cleaner to help remove dust from your home, a 10-year parts warranty, and a free Nest thermostat. Plus, you know, with Conway Services, we have easy payment plans with systems as low as $139 per month. Now you could do that. And you know, with Conway Services, you'll be receiving our award-winning service every time. So call Conway Services, the Mid-South's premier heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric service company. And the first 30 callers with a 10-year-old air conditioning system will come out and inspect it absolutely free.
Call 385 844-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
Hey, if you're hungry for great Mexican food for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, got it. La Guadalupana, La Guadalupana, Guadalupana. Choose from tacos, burritos, enchiladas, sizzling shrimp, beef or chicken fajitas, and even a Cuban sandwich filled with Mexican sausage, chicken, ham, steak, jalapenos, avocado. Add a nice cold beer to your super nachos. Top with melted cheese, beans, sour cream, guacamole, tomato, and jalapenos. Great prices, generous portions, great service at 3 locations: Summer Avenue, Cordova Road in Winchester. La Guadalupana.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Breaking NBA news under the foul of if it can go wrong, it will this year for the Boston Celtics. Jaylen Brown out for the year, torn ligament and wrist. Celtics currently the 7th seed in the East. They're slated for play-in tournament. Brad Stevens is not going to be fired. He shouldn't be fired. He turned down reportedly huge money from the Indiana Hoosiers not to return back to college. But I think he could be on losing his job watch early next year if they started the stumbling 3-9. Something like that, or even at the All-Star break, the shake it up fire for down the stretch, because then it would leave him a lot of options for some of those plum college jobs, and they will come open. If I'm right, I think 1 or 2 might even open during this summertime. That he might listen to that then, knowing the prospects for next year could get very pressurized in Boston, where the fans will be back next year, and they may take some of that ire out on him, and they will. They love you when it's going well, and they let you know it when it's not going well in Boston. I think he's been great, but I thought it'd be more by now.
I don't know if I would have put more on Brad Stevens at this point. I mean, the man still looks like he's younger than me. He looks like that suit he's wearing is his first communion suit.
It's not aging him.
It's not. That 100%. Yeah. He still looks like a teenager out there, basically trying to coach.
The suit that his dad taught him to tie his tie with.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what he looks like. But I think he's exceeded expectation. Yeah, no championships, but has had has done a steadily good job in Boston. I think that he has either met expectations or has exceeded expectations every year. This is the first step backward, isn't it? It is, even if it is a step backward. I mean, you're still making the playoffs. Yeah, it's not the best year that you wanted to, especially I think there was a lot of questions of how he lets Gordon Hayward go and all of that. But the fact of the matter is Boston is still clearly – sitting in that 7th seed. Now they're going to have to play in the playing game, but out of I will take Boston over all 3 of those teams every day and twice on Sunday. I mean, they're going to be in the playoff regardless. So I think it's still a win. If your goal every year is be in the playoffs, be competitive, have a shot at somewhat of an Eastern Conference final, I think he's done that, and I think that Boston, with the talent that they have, if they get rolling at the right time here in the playoffs, getting through the play-in game, I think they could be trouble for a team like Brooklyn.
There are a couple of teams in the East. If Miami could tap back into bubble heat, I think they could be trouble.
They could.
I don't feel like a back of the packer, except for maybe the Lakers, because they are the Lakers. Mm-hmm. Doing that in the West. Next Monday we'll know, and we'll go over all the playoff scenarios next Monday. It'll be fun. I'm looking forward to the NBA playoffs and hope the Grizzlies are
as well.
An integral part, not just kind of tangential, like a little bit like it seems now. Tonight the Grizzlies and the Pelicans will play for the 3rd time this year. The Pelicans defeated the Grizzlies 144-113 in the last matchup. That was just throw your hands up. That was on February 16th. That was a while ago. Zion with 31. Ja Morant had 28 for the Grizzlies that night. Jonas Valanciunas just keeps on rolling, averaging 16.7 points per game, 12.5 rebounds, averaging 10.8 rebounds and 13.5 points per game over the last 10 games for the Grizzlies. Tonight, the biggest game of the year, 9.5-point favorite. John Harden said they win by a baker's dozen. I like that pick. I think by 13, that'd be enough for the bettors and enough for what really matters, the left-hand column and the elimination of the Pelicans and the Grizzlies firmly in the play-in.
Yeah, it would. I think that they win, but then again, it is against the Pelicans like we've talked all day, where a lot of the games, it should have been a win. I mean, not just this season, but last season and going back 5-6 years. It just always seems to have the Grizzlies' number for the New Orleans Pelicans to where none of it ever seems like a guaranteed win, to where you can go ahead and lay 9.5 and not be a little nervous.
In those two teams with Ja and Zion and their past, AAU and friends in South Carolina, and the proximity of the two cities, I think very friendly cities. It's not like anything close to like
I love
the whole
the
whole Memphis-Nashville thing. It's nothing like that. It's not the rivalry between Northwest Arkansas and Little Rock. Certainly not the whole Dallas-Houston thing. Of course, that's whose cigar smells the worst between those two oil-rich towns. A kinship through the years with New Orleans, and it makes for the most natural rivalry going forward with those two star players, will be featured players, and for markets that need to have a star like that, and for New Orleans to keep it. They've had Chris Paul, couldn't keep him. They had Anthony Davis, couldn't keep him. One thing about the Grizzlies, they've been able to re-sign the players, maybe not the marketable superstars across the league like a Paul or a Davis, but when the Grizzlies have wanted to keep Mark, wanted to keep Mike, wanted to keep Tony Allen, wanted to keep Zebo, they kept Rudy, and then eventually dealt him. But if they want to keep him, they've been able to.
They have been able to do that through the long line of history, just because of I think it's the fact of the matter is when you talk about those guys, none of those guys turn out the players that they were without the other. And I think they all realize that. I think when you talk about the core four, and even with Rudy Gay,
I think stand alone from that, though.
As of now, I think he is, because I still think he's head and shoulders above Jaren and above anybody else on the team, just due to potential. But for guys like Mike Conley, Zach Randolph, Tony Allen, Marc Gasol, I think a lot of I think they realize I'm not good enough to go out and restart this. This is a good spot. This is my best chance. I like the organization. I like the city. I like the people. And let's try to do it here. And when you have guys like Chris Paul and AD, and regardless of how much I love the core four, those guys were a different level. Those guys are on a different tier than any of the core four. They were looking to get out, and they could get out, and they never had to think, oh, am I going to make a big mistake? Am I ever going to fit in somewhere like that? They're good enough to fit in anywhere.
Another similarity between Memphis and New Orleans is really at the core of both of those places is it's football. It's football. Now, New Orleans more so than Memphis.
With the Saints.
More so than our market, but our market is very football-oriented. One of the beautiful things about our market is we're everything.
We are.
We like it all.
I do.
And the ratings show it. The ratings show that if it's on, we watch it. I mean, we always win that number one rating for non-NFL city, and that's not watching the Titans.
No,
that's not any Titans craze, and always we watch all the basketball and even the baseball, and for sure the college football. So tonight the Grizzlies, they must win, and we talked about it earlier. If they do, then we'll see if it's relaxation night tomorrow night. We held off a long time. We didn't bring it up till we brought it up with Dave Bartu. I love the people today so kind of exercise, pardon the word, Brother Tim Tebow, so exercise over Tim Tebow. Dave Bartu said it, I said it, and I think you believe it. It's the ultimate meritocracy. Yeah, you can have the son-in-law treatment. Yeah, you can have the son treatment. Yeah, you can have the thumb on the scale, and your college coach is now running the team, and he can bring you in at 33 for the tryout. If he can't play, he won't, because you know who would rise up first? That locker room.
Oh, yeah.
They would say, why is this guy in here?
They would. And while, yeah, it might help with who you know to get the tryout. They're not going to sign him unless they actually think he is talented enough and can help them out on the field. I don't think that this is a ploy by the Jaguars to try to sell jerseys and try to build up excitement for the upcoming future because, heck, they just got that for free in the NFL draft with the number 1 overall pick in Trevor Lawrence. If you need to try to build more excitement, Jacksonville just sounds like a dead place and doesn't like the NFL at this point. But if he can't play, then he won't play. There's a reason they signed him to a 1-year deal. They didn't sign him to a 4 or 5-year deal thinking that he's the tight end of the future. They signed him to a 1-year deal to basically see if he can help and honestly how long he can help. I mean, who knows that being out of football, being out of that football shape, while he still is in great shape, everybody can agree, baseball strength and baseball shape is different than football strength and football shape. And being out of there, maybe by week 5, by week 6, his body's getting used to being hit again, that he just doesn't have the will and the motor to kind of get over that first hurdle of the season of when your body starts aching. And it's going to be interesting to see how well he fits in. Now, knowing Tim Tebow, it'd be perfect Tim Tebow that he goes out there and by week 10 is leading
the new Gronkowski.
Exactly, is leading all tight ends in reception, yards, and touchdowns.
Hallelujah, if he is.
Because that's Tim Tebow. He's going to do
it.
it.
And it's not going to affect Trevor Lawrence. He's never going to play a down at quarterback unless they did have the old tight end around, kind of the Philly play with him shot putting it, because a lot of his passes looked like somebody trying to throw the shot put. But he did have that one big playoff game, and that was some moment, landed on the cover of Sports Illustrated after that one, and then really downhill since. And one of the things that hurt him, well, is he just wasn't that good to play quarterback in the NFL, but also that started the merry-go-round of quarterbacks in Denver.
It did.
That really hadn't stopped under John Elway. Peyton settled it down and got him a Super Bowl win, really had 2 good years before that. But there's been a lot of quarterbacks through there that there's no love lost with the Tebows with John Elway, and it got a little fractious with some of the Mannings with John Elway. And John Elway just hadn't been able to find a quarterback in Denver to play quarterback like John Elway did in Denver.
That's the biggest problem. There's only one John Elway.
Guess what? He won't.
He won't. Unless they end up hitting the gold mine of gold mines, I don't think there will ever be a quarterback that lives up to Elway's expectations.
Some thinking that maybe Aaron Rodgers ends up there. There's a lot of places that Aaron Rodgers takes a first weekend playoff team, he takes them to the Super Bowl. I mean, if you plugged Aaron Rodgers, you're seeing on the morning talk shows, you're seeing maybe Cleveland. I don't think that would happen, but the New York Giants, if they pull the plug on Danny Dimes and decided to go with Aaron Rodgers, they're probably in the playoffs. They're not in the Super Bowl because of him. But what if the Falcons got him?
If they got him now, they'd obviously have to keep Julio Jones just to keep more weapons around him. I think that he gets them to the playoffs. I don't think that he makes them a Super Bowl contending team. And I don't know. I'm trying to think of right now who he goes there that I like his chances of reaching the Super Bowl more than I do right now in Green Bay.
Yeah, 1 game shy of it last year with Green Bay, and real heartbreaking loss for him. They got behind so early to Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay was on that magic run, and just nothing was standing in the way, and they were playing their best football. The Packers were playing good and at home, and I think not having a crowd really hurt them that day. Tomorrow, Drew, you're going to be out. We haven't talked about it yet. Your family, y'all had a loss of your granddad, your dad's dad. You're going to be out tomorrow, and our hearts and our thoughts and our prayers have been with you and your family. And I know what you're going through.
I do really appreciate it. And I did want to just come on here and say a few words about a great man, and not only in my eyes, but through friends of mine's eyes, which has meant the absolute most to me, is not what I hear from my family, but what I hear from friends and people that have been able to be around him. growing up, my best friend Jeremy Harbert texted me today and just said, I really always admired your grandfather, loved being around him when we were kids, and knowing just how important he was, not just to me but my entire family. And my grandfather was a true gentleman and a truly great, loving person, somebody who taught me how to hunt, how to appreciate what you have, what God has given you, and how to live off the land. He taught me how to fish. I mean, some of the best memories I have growing up were fishing with him and my father and my brother on our annual trout fishing trip out to the White River. I saw my first Orioles game with the man, and he wasn't the biggest sports person. He much rather would have been in a duck blind.
He was a participator,
or on
not a spectator.
or in waders out on the creek. But he did always enjoy knowing how much I enjoyed sports. And of course, my father before me could never get the University of Memphis down right. Always still called it Memphis State till his dying day. But a big, loving person who was also a nerd. He was 6'4", 250 at his height, was a high school wrestler, but wore a pocket protector. I mean, the man, for my father's entire life, he tried to get my dad to wear a pocket protector. Just a big nerd, great sense of humor, and somebody who also served his country, worked at the Pentagon for multiple years. That's where he ended up meeting my grandmother, who lived in Baltimore, and obviously they had my father moved down here in Memphis back in, I believe, 66 or 67. Spent hundreds of hours out at Rhodes College. Every building out there, from the new library to renovations, he's touched and done as an engineer. And every time I drive past that campus, I can't help but think of him. And that campus holds a special place in my heart because we would go to work with him out there. He would teach me, my brother, and my cousin Sherry how to drive out there when we were 5, and probably shouldn't have been driving in a parking lot out at Rhodes. But I hope he knew how much he was loved, and I know how much that he truly loved me and my entire family. And I really appreciate all the kind words that we've gotten on the text line and from my own personal phone throughout the day. And I know that he was proud of not just me, but every one of his children and his 3 grandchildren from me, my cousin Sherry, and my brother out in Denver. So I really appreciate the thoughts and prayers. He's going to be missed, but like you told me earlier, the tears, they aren't sadness, they're out of love. And that's what I'm taking of it. I know there will be a lot of love tomorrow. And I just really appreciate everything from everybody. And I appreciate you giving me these few minutes to really try to sum up an extraordinary life in such a short amount of time.
Well, we've had 8 weeks of it.
We
Drew,
really have.
I'm telling you, I was comforted so many times by a text from you, just how's it going? And I feel the same about you, and befitting of his great service to our great country. It will be a flag draped coffin for your granddad, and that will be so very nice. I got to ask you this. You mentioned the trout fishing.
Yes.
Because I hear the kind of in the outdoor world, what's harder, trout fishing or turkey hunting?
For me personally, it's been turkey hunting. But
because you're over.
Because I'm over. But trout fishing, it depends if you're fly fishing. Now, if it's if you've got a regular rod and reel, you can make it pretty simple. It can be a pretty good just floating down the river in a boat, drinking some beers type of fishing. But if you're fly fishing, it definitely gets pretty difficult.
All right. I've never been turkey hunting. I'm over, but I've been trout fishing, and I'm over there, too. It was always, you should have been here last week.
It always is. You should have been here yesterday. They were practically jumping in the boat.
I've been 3 or 4 times, and every time, oh man, if you'd have been here last week, I mean, you didn't even they would jump into the net for you.
Exactly.
And I'm going, I don't believe you because not a nibble. I do believe this. When we come back, we wrap up this Monday with Taco Bell Crunch Time. That's next.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio. We are Sports 56, 98.5, and 96.1.
Grind City Brewing Company is taking care of beerness in Memphis. Grind City Brewing is the dream of a father and son duo to create a brand that delivers a high quality, great tasting, and easy drinking craft beer. And they've done it. The brewery sits high above the city elevation in uptown Memphis with 15,000 square feet of beerness, including a 5,000 square foot tap room. Grind City Brewing is committed to all things Memphis, including the Tigers. They have created a malt liquor called Tiger Tail that is the official craft beer of the University of Memphis. Tiger Tail comes in 16-ounce six-packs and is not your typical malt liquor. Tiger Tail is crafted with a bold and smooth flavor, has 7.5% alcohol, and its clean finish makes it incredibly easy drinking. Tiger Tail and Grind City Brewing, taking care of beerness in Memphis.
Hi, this is Troy Five-Ash, owner of Five-Ash Roof Services. You've heard me talk about how we offer the best products, the best warranties, and the best services for years. Now let's talk about pricing. Pricing should never be the only reason you hire a contractor, but in today's world, pricing is always a consideration. So we suggest you get 2 or 3 estimates for your roof replacement from a reputable, licensed, and insured company, and then give us a call. If we can't beat your best price for a comparable roof system by more than $100, we'll give you $100. It's that simple. We are so sure we can offer you the best price, beating all other qualified companies. We will hand you $100 if we can't, and thank you for the opportunity. So give us a call. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? Make $100? Five-Ash Roof Services, a proud supporter of Tiger Athletics and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Five-Ash Roof Services, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
I want to do some bragging rights. Hey, I was just the other day overhearing a conversation with Big Mike, the manager of DeSoto Auto Sales. They've got people buying cars all over the country. North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Arkansas, Texas. People from all over the country buy cars at DeSoto Auto Sales in Olive Branch, Mississippi. Why? DeSoto Auto Sales has the most stringent car inspection in America. They get it right the first time. Quality and low mileage, factory warranty on most vehicles. My favorite part is the people who work there. Big Mike, all the employees are professional, friendly, and go that extra mile. Expect as you walk in the door, you are treated like family. DeSoto Auto Sales understands your time matters. We can help you find your dream car and get all the paperwork finished in less than an hour. Come see us at DeSoto Auto Sales and be part of our family. Have a great buying experience every time. 662-890-7184.
I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurant.
So what comes in a rib box?
We could do pork shoulder, we could do ribs, our sauce, seasoning, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll even throw in Pancho's cheese dip with our nacho boxes. We also put a bag of Rendezvous seasoned popcorn, heating instructions, some chef hats, some wet naps, and some other helpful tips from our kitchen. We ship our ribs overnight, exclusively FedEx. And we put them in nice packaging. We don't ever want to use styrofoam, so we use corrugated cardboard, actually 2 boxes that fit nice together. So the ribs get to you, your loved ones, or your clients in a safe, wholesome manner. Rendezvous ribs are perfect for out-of-town clients, customers, loved ones. We also ship ribs for any occasion.
Where do we order these great ribs?
You can go to www.hogsfly.com or give us a call at 1-888-464-7359.
Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous Restaurant in the alley since 1948.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Voloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Come on, Muhammad, then we hit fame. We beat with the deal, we get insane. Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is Geraldo. It is crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello,
Boop! Choo-choo!
What's happening, big dog? How you doing?
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
All 1, all 2, all 3. Hey!
Time for Taco Bell Crunch Time. Taco Bell, home of the crispy tortilla chips.
topped with a double portion of either seasoned beef or shredded chicken plus refried beans, nacho cheese sauce, reduced fat sour cream, guacamole, and a 3-cheese blend. Nachos Bel Grande, heaping portion of chips topped with ground beef, tomatoes, beans, nacho cheese sauce, and a dollop of sour cream. Taco Bell, home to great food you get on your way home real fast, and they bring you crunch time every day. Learned today that over the weekend, another no-hitter in baseball, Wade Miley, number 4 on Friday for the Reds. Will we top the 7 no-nos? We may. How about this one? How about somebody pulling the Johnny Vandermeer this year and going out there and doing it in back-to-back? That would really be walking on the moon, wouldn't it? But these pitchers are nasty as they can be, but the book will build, and these hitters will adapt for sure. But almost every night in baseball, there's a 2 or 3 hitter. We're close on a lot of nights that doesn't get the headlines.
Yeah, we really are, and I absolutely love it. I don't think that anything should change. If hitters can't hit it, then that's their own fault.
Step in there and swing at it.
There's a 20-year-old in minor league baseball right now that will gladly take a shot at it. Well, I actually learned over the weekend that with the Preds 3-1 victory over the Carolina Hurricanes, they have clinched a spot in the NHL playoffs for the seventh straight season for the Nashville Predators to have a chance at winning the prestigious Lord Stanley's Cup.
And Drew, I'm sorry to go so very parochial, but I can't pull for the Preds to win a Stanley Cup because I want the Grizzlies to be the first professional team to win a title in the state of Tennessee. If they count us as a member of the state, as a state of the
state of Memphis,
state of Tennessee, the state of Memphis. Big Shelby. That's it. Could have done without people that thought I picked the Cardinals over the Yankees in the preseason because I'm a homer. Well, I am a homer, but they are in first in the Central, and I picked the Cardinals over the Yankees every year. It's a little bit like my Super Bowl prediction of overtime. Nobody's caught that. This is about 5 years in a row that I've done it. Bueno was bueno over the weekend, and the Cardinals, they're never going to lose another game.
They may not, apparently, according to you. I could have done without having a potential 30-for-30 ruined over the weekend with the Bob Baffert situation, the 30-for-30 of
ruined,
what if I told
made better.
But now we know why Maximum Security really does drink, and while he has turned from a wonderful gentleman who holds the barn door open for the lady horses to a shell of himself and can't get his head out of the bottle, it might make it better. I don't know if it will ever rival the
not
potential.
Not going to be a happy ending.
It's not. I don't think it rivals Dustin Johnson Masters slip, but it will be great. But I could have done without Bob Baffert basically giving me the reason why instead of making me wait for the 30-for-30.
Big game Bobby Baffert, the hair that every male over 45 envies. Yes. Keeping a close eye tonight on Grizzlies at FedEx Forum with some payback for the Pels. They need to take it all out on Van Gundy tonight. One half of the goofball Van Gundy brothers. I bet his kids, they got their tails kicked all the time. They seem like just really awful to be around. A Grizz win, and they're in the playoffs. Go Bucks over the Spurs. Go Jazz over the Dubs tonight. Got a scoreboard watch, but the main thing, got to watch the scoreboard at FedEx Forum. I'll be plugged in, and I hope everybody watches, and we will talk about it tomorrow. I want to thank Ted Butler, talking golf with us. David Cobb, always with us on Monday afternoon, and Dave Bartu from College Football Matrix. Tomorrow we'll have our Tuesday cast of characters, and we look forward to that. Ron Tiller will be with us right at 3:30 tomorrow, talking tonight's big game, the Grizz historian that he is. Tomorrow, Skylar Oliver will be in for Drew. Drew, our thoughts with you tomorrow. And we wish you the very best tomorrow, and our hearts and our thoughts and our prayers will be with you and your entire family. For Drew, for Dave in his absence, I'm Brett. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 3.
Golf enthusiast, looking for new golf greens? Got it. New and exciting Cypress View Golf and Recreation, just over the Mississippi River in Marion, Arkansas. Cypress View Golf and Recreation, absolutely gorgeous. Your first tee, you're looking at cypress trees a mile long in between a small lake. Give it your best shot.